Just going to wait for everyone else to take a quick seat, but we are on a time crunch here, so we're going to get going. Okay, good evening and welcome everyone. For the people that don't know me, my name is Jamie Law. I am the chair of the board of the Chamber of Commerce for Carleton Place and District. So what a great turnout tonight, and thank you for everyone coming out to this important meeting for our community. I'm very grateful for everyone to take the time to come out tonight, hear the importance of what the candidates have to offer and what they're going to do for our community in the 2018 municipal elections. And I'd also like to welcome the audience who we're live streaming right now, the people that are sitting on their couches at home watching us. Hello everyone, welcome as well. And hopefully the feed and everything is great. So tonight, before we started, we had over 40 questions submitted. Now tonight we've also had several more questions being submitted in. If you still want to write a question down, it's still not too late. You can go to the back and write down your question and it'll get put into the ballot box, and everything's just being drawn out at random. So if you still have some time, you want to get up and go write a question, feel free please. Also tonight we're going to start off with the councillors debate with the questions. After that it's going to be the mayor and deputy mayor. The questions are going to be randomly drawn and have they been submitted. Also tonight, just in the house, we have the English Public Trustees in-house. I'd like them to stand up and just do a quick wave for a second. Donald Carm. Carol Dufour. Oh, they're all standing over there. Sharon Holscher. I tried and tried with her earlier to get her last name right. I knew I'd get it wrong. So tonight, we're going to welcome Brian Perkin from Lake 88.1 to, where is he? Over here. He'll be the one discussing and giving everyone all the rules and everything else, and I will talk to you guys at the end for wrap-up. Enjoy, and everyone have a great evening.
Thank you, Jamie. Well, once again, thank you for all attending this important event today, brought to you by the Carleton Place and District Chamber of Commerce. We welcome all of the candidates we have with us tonight, and we would note that the mayoral candidates, one of the mayoral candidates, Roland Witherich, will not be able to be with us tonight, and he'll be not participating in the question and answer question. And I think we're missing one of our councillors, Mark Piper, so if he comes in, then he can take his spot. Mark, if you're here, please do so. As we mentioned, we've got the council candidates among us. We've also got 3 deputy mayoral candidates and 3 mayoral candidates. And before we get into the opening remarks from the candidates, I have some housekeeping to do. Some of the rules of courtesy tonight for both the candidates and the audience. So the rules of courtesy are that we have all participants exercising courtesy to each other and to all those present. There's a no tolerance policy for personal attack against an individual, and the use of foul language will not be permitted at any time. It's an opportunity for all of our candidates with us this evening to present their platforms and discuss their issues that matter most within the community. I'd ask everyone to please turn off any cell phones and set your pagers to vibrate if you have. Fire exits are available, of course, both ends of the upstairs hall here, washroom facilities down the lobby area, and we have an elevator available at the back of the room. Now, the order of the speakers, Jamie alluded to that. The order of the speakers has been selected at random by the candidates tonight by themselves as they came in, picking a number as to where they were going to be sitting. The candidates, they have opening remarks beginning. And we're going to start on the left, on your left here, and we'll be going all the way down. The closing remarks will be presented in the reverse order, and part 1 of our evening, of course, with the candidates for councillor, and then we'll take a break, and we'll be moving on to the mayoral and deputy mayoral presentations as well. Now, as Jamie was telling you, all the questions have been put forward, and the questions have been submitted in advance. And we're still taking some tonight if you want to do that. And we're going to be reading all the questions, including any grammatical errors or factual inaccuracies as they come to us. Even though we're not taking any questions from the floor, we would like to remind you still an opportunity to put those questions in. And I'd like to thank Arlene Anderson for being here today to help us keep track of the questions. Also want to thank our timer, a very important person today. Clay Spiro is here, and he'll be keeping us on track. All candidates will be given 2 minutes to present opening remarks, and then we have flashcards that will be used at the 30-second mark and also at the 10-second mark. At the end of that time, a bell will ring, and at that point, we ask the candidates to simply stop speaking. Candidates will be given 1 minute to respond to the questions. The flashcards will again signal when we've got 30 seconds remaining and 10 seconds remaining, and then the bell again will end at the end of that 1 minute time limit. The same guidelines will apply for the closing remarks for each candidate. You'll have 1 minute there. Candidates are reminded that they don't have to use up all of their allocated time in the responses. Short, sweet, and concise wins the day. We would be putting the questions that are asked of our counselors back in the bin. Those could be drawn in the second half of our evening tonight. At the end of part one, or approximately about 7:40, we're hoping we're going to take a short break for about 10 minutes or so to get refreshed, and then we'll be putting on the second half, which includes, as we said, the mayoral and deputy mayoral candidates with opening remarks, again, questions and responses, and all those being allocated in the same time frame. So let's get underway now and start with the candidates running for council in the 2018 municipal election for Carleton Place with their opening remarks. And as I said, we're going to start on this particular end. So if we could start for 2 minutes, your opening remarks. First of all, Teresa Fritz.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight. Obviously, everyone is busy. To see this many people out is just wonderful. I'm a current member of council. I was elected in 2014, and I'm the only current councillor seeking re-election to council. One thing about me is I call it like I see it. I'm not afraid to dance around difficult issues, and I have not done so during this term. The last 4 years have been incredibly challenging on council and have not always been enjoyable. This term did not unfold as I expected, and many times my faith was shaken. Many people have asked me, why are you running again? The answer is simple: service. I believe in public service. Being on council is not achieving personal glory. It's not about the number of photo ops you're in. It's about you, the ratepayers. It's about the community. It's about issues that affect all of us who live here. I'm a resident and ratepayer first, and so what happens at the council table affects me, and I know it affects you. I ran for municipal office to contribute to the community in a meaningful way and continue some of the volunteer work that I've already done. I have a history of volunteerism in this community. I have a history of knowing this community from my years as editor of the Carleton Place Canadian. This community means something to me. As a veteran journalist, I've got a lot of experience covering municipal government, and I've added 4 years on this council to that experience roster. I think communication is key. Communication is extremely important to me. Have we done a great job? No. Can we do better? There's always room to do better. I believe I have a lot more to contribute, and I'd like another 4 years to show everyone that. I believe that there are a lot of issues that are affecting this community right now that mean a lot to me, and some of my priorities include looking at the hiring of an economic development officer. I think we need someone to focus exclusively on guiding economic development, whether it's small business, large business, and working with everyone to make sure this is a place that's open for business and people know it. The arena dressing rooms are important. I want to work on a good budget, and I also believe we need to have integrity restored at Town Hall, and that's a very important issue for me, and I hope it's an important for you. Thank you.
All right, please show your applause. Thank you. And my bad, I forgot to ask all of our candidates if you wouldn't mind for the camera and for the folks here, if you could stand up. You can either take the microphone out of its stand or just bring the whole microphone up to you. And make sure you get it relatively close so we can get some good sound here. All right, we'll move on. Please welcome Jamie DeBay.
Everybody can hear me? Hello, my name is Jamie DeBay, and I'm running for Town Council. I'd like to thank you all for coming out here tonight on this fine evening. This is my third time running for council. I ran in 2006 and in 2010. I was not successful, but as I always say, third time's a charm. This election campaign has been my hardest for myself and my family. The reason being, my sister has been very ill for these last 2 months, needed 2 emergency surgeries, and will face more surgery and a very long recovery time in the future. It has made me reflect on what is important in life, family, and community, and never giving up. So I'm here, with the support of my family, running for the 3rd election and not giving up on things I think are most important to this community. I've always been interested in politics from an early age, and I volunteer in many election campaigns over the years. I frequently attend council meetings over these last 12 years. I was a member of the Carleton Police Services Board from 2009 to 2017, and I've worked with current councillor and former councillor members. I volunteer in my kids' school council, church breakfasts, coached Little League, and was also involved in Scouts. There are many challenges facing our next council, including bridge repair, the hospital, renovations to our arena, new development, and the environmental impact with especially our drinking water, just to name a few. There are several steps in the right direction I propose. A cooperative council that works towards meeting the needs of our town residents. Having a council that works for the people, listening to and respecting each other, and listening to the concerns of their citizens through town hall meetings and information sessions. Affordable housing. One of the greatest challenges we face as our population grows is affordable housing. We need to work with our developers, our community partners, and all levels of government to come up with a win-win situation. Affordable housing and new development work at the same time.
All right, you're going to have to stop there. Thank you very much. And for Jamie DeBay. Please welcome Paula Villa. Paula Villa.
Thanks for everyone. Thanks to the Chamber for hosting. That's Villa, V-I-L-L-A, box number 23 at the very bottom of your voting card. I'm married, a father of 2 young kids, local small business owner. I've lived here for 9 years. I remember the day I moved in. It was the August long weekend of the Street Bazaar. While we unpacked, my wife sent me to get pizza. I headed to Bridge Street. It was closed. The street was full of people. Everyone was having a good time. I was getting that warm, tingly feeling on the inside. It was that moment that I knew this place would have me forever. In case you were wondering, though, it did take 2 hours for me to get that pizza, and needless to say, my wife was very hungry when I got home. I've always had an itch to run for politics. When I was a teenager, I had the opportunity to work with council to bring a youth center and a skateboard park to Barrhaven. It was such a rewarding experience, I knew deep down I wasn't finished. And I'm tired of the negativity. I'm tired of RCP being talked about for all the wrong reasons, all the way in Orleans. I want a CP for my kids. I want a CP for you. I want a CP for us. During this campaign, I've been nothing but transparent because bringing transparency to RPC is most important. I want to help the Hospital Foundation. I want arena upgrades. I have a strategy for new businesses. I want a properly functioning youth center. Heck, I even want garbage bags for families with babies with diapers. Because when I was a kid, I was tired. I mean, when I was an adult, I was tired of stepping in the garbage bag to try to cram all those diapers in one little bag. These are all very important issues. Some people think some of my ideas are unrealistic, but I don't. Others enjoy my out-of-box thinking. Council needs to address every issue like the way that I want to, with a why can't we attitude. And hopefully, we can do just that. Thank you.
Paula Villa. Thanks, Paula. We remind all of the folks just to bring the microphone up a little bit closer if you could, again, because of the live streaming and for everybody to be able to hear.
Is that good?
That's very good.
Great.
Andrew Roy Tennant is next.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Andrew Tennant. I grew up here. I'm 37 years old. I was raised on a small farm in Beckwith and then moved here with my wife, Natasha. We've been here almost 20 years together, and we met at CPHS here. We have a 7-year-old boy, Cade, and a 5-year-old girl, Alice. I attended Carleton University for economics and Algonquin College for heritage masonry. I'm a brick and stone mason. I operate a construction company here, and it's been operating for 7 years. I employ several young men from town. We do restoration work and new construction. I've been involved in committee work in CP for 8 years. I've been a member of the Municipal Heritage Committee for 8 years. I was a member of the Canada 150 Anniversary Committee and the early meetings of the CP 200 Anniversary Committee. I've sat on other committees for special presentations or when projects in which I was involved overlapped. I also spent 2 years on the board of directors of the Chamber of Commerce here in Carleton Place. My decision to run for council was made many years ago. I feel that my work on committees in the Chamber has led to this. I've been involved in many projects that have been before Council for years, and I've been working with town staff and sitting councillors since I was in my late 20s. I'm familiar with the procedures, the budgets, and the obstacles. If I'm not elected to Council, I won't disappear. I will likely continue with the committee and volunteer work, and I'll do my best to help my community in whatever role I'm needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew Roy Tennant. We move on now to Tracy Kawissa. Tracy?
Hello, my name is Tracy Kawissa, and I'm running for the position of councillor. So because I only have 2 minutes, I'm going to jump right in. We have several major areas of concern that will need to be addressed in the upcoming term of council. I want to talk about 4 major challenges facing us. Our infrastructure needs to be repaired and updated. We need a solution for the lack of public transportation. We need to provide opportunities for youth to engage in our community, and we need to create new bylaws to allow for affordable housing units. Infrastructure includes several items, but the biggest, in my opinion, right now is our main bridge. We all know this project is going to be expensive. We cannot be short-sighted when budgeting and planning for this project. We must consider the growth that we will see in the next 10 to 20 years and beyond. We have to get it right. We have an opportunity here to build something beautiful. In line with our beautiful downtown heritage buildings, it could be a tourist attraction. I've been a project coordinator. I've sat on many planning committees and projects in Lanark County and Ottawa. I know how to plan, organize, and be proactive. I know how to get a budget, create a budget, and stick to it. I'll do all that I can to expedite this project and keep residents informed every step of the way. In the end, our bridge is going to be a landmark that we can be proud of. There are so many people in our town who are left vulnerable and isolated because they don't have transportation for one reason or another. I have a solution. There is an interested group that's working very hard right now to come up with a remedy for this. It involves small buses, all accessible, and they are working very hard to get the grant money together. And as councillor, I will work with this committee and make this a reality. Youth are an untapped resource in our community. They are intelligent and savvy, driven and creative. We need them to know just how much they are valued.
All right, thank you very much. And now, please welcome Linda Secaspina.
If someone had told me I would be running for council, I would have said they were nuts. One day I got up and got really angry and said, enough is enough. I don't know about you, but I've had it with bad media and headlines and Carleton Place generally becoming the laughingstock of the Ottawa Valley. I'm 67 years old, a bona fide senior, and trust me, I don't know how I got to this age. But here I am, and like other people, I am concerned that this town doesn't work for the betterment of the community as a whole. We need affordable housing for low-income families and seniors and ensure new developments are sustainable and green and keep our drinking water safe. And we need to do what we can to promote bringing new business to town that will employ people and keep them in Carleton Place. That's a lot to do. Plus, the bridge is in desperate need of repairs, as is the arena. With over 2,000 new housing units already approved, the entire town's infrastructure will need help as Carleton Place grows. And I want to make sure we try to do some of this and honor our history and town feel that keeps us here in this place. None of it can be done if we don't leave our egos at the door. In all honesty, one person can't change the world, let alone Carleton Place. I have no Wonder Woman costume, or at least last time I looked, but I can try and help get Carleton Place back on the map in a good way. And I guess that's exactly what I thought about that morning when I got up and decided to run. No more council drama, ladies and gentlemen, because this is my home, this is your home, and we need to take it back. Vote October 22nd, and that is something you can personally do to make Carleton Place a better place to live. My name is Linda Secaspina, and thank you for giving me the time to speak tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And now, please welcome Jennifer Rogers. Jennifer?
Hi there. My name is Jennifer Rogers. I'm running for council. I've been a resident of Carleton Place for the past 18 years. What brought me here was my job. I wasn't sure that I wanted to live here. I'd never heard of Carleton Place until it came up. So I took a drive. and I came down Bridge Street, and I thought, yep, I can live here. And I have. And I raised my kids here, and I've worked here, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. This is a lovely town that's had a bad rap for the last little while, and we need to change that. We need a cohesive team that's willing to work together. It's not about me, it's about we. It's about us, it's about the residents, and what we can do to better this place for all of us. We do need to leave our egos and our personalities at the door. We need to bring our brains and are willing to work together to the door and be cohesive in our decision making and work together as a team. That's what I propose, and that's what I bring to the table. My background is that in finance and banking. I've been a banker for the past 30 years. I know about budgets. I know about financing. I know about coming together and developing financial plans and presenting them and looking at the gaps that are there and finding ways to overcome them. And that's my forte for you. The things that I think are really important, obviously, is what everybody has already said. The financing of the bridge, how is that going to impact the downtown core? That's very important. Trying to keep our tax base stable and not increase taxes too much. That's important to all of us. That hits our financial pocket. The hospital has been a godsend to me. They saved my husband's life when he had his heart attack. So financing the hospital and making sure that it's there for all of us for now and in the future is very important to me. I think it's important to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Now, Edward Toby Randall.
I want to sincerely thank everyone in attendance tonight and those watching elsewhere on the Chamber's live feed. My name is Toby Randall, actually Edward Toby Randall on the ballot. That's a very long story, and since we've only got 2 minutes, I'll save that for another time. You're going to hear a lot of the same words and phrases tonight. Affordable housing, seniors housing, past and present development, economic development office or committee, water protection, our arena, the bridge, our hospital, heritage, and respect. All are very worthy of discussion, and most of us have answered questions or campaigned on almost all of them. But in my short time, I hope to tell you why I believe I am prepared to take on the councillor position. I have treated the last 11 months like one long job interview. I have met with or spoke with almost every current council member, former council members, business owners, hundreds of citizens, both lifelong and those brand new to town, developers, town staff, multiple charitable organizations, and even one member of parliament. All with the aim of being as prepared as humanly possible for the position I am looking to take on. Over the past 10 months, I have attended nearly every council and committee meeting to learn the process, the relationships between councillors, staff, and citizens, and now I have the necessary understanding of past decisions and also those that will need to be made in the future to help me in what will surely be a hectic first few months should I be elected. I give you my word to work with whoever gets on to council, to debate, educate both myself and the public, and even argue, but respectfully, and make decisions in the best interest of every citizen, not just a few or for the present, but for all, including those that will come in the future. In closing, I want to thank you for your consideration at the polls, and I cherish the opportunity to represent the people and the town that I grew up in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toby. And next is Mark Piper. Mark?
Hi, everybody. For me, this whole election is about one major thing. I know that there are other important issues. There's housing for the poor, and there's development. And there's a number of changes to be made to the infrastructure. But for me, this is about one thing, and that's transparency. All we read about is dysfunction on town council, about charges and counter-charges, and anger, and we had a recommendation from an ombudsman. And that ombudsman said, we need fewer secrets. We need less in camera. We need to get stuff out. I agree with that. I think the reason that we have, if we do, as much dysfunction as it seems to be reported, is because we don't know what's going on. If we are blind, and if we can't talk back, if we are dumb, then we're just sheep. And I don't want to be a sheep. I want to know what's going on, and I want to make my decisions based on that. That means, if I'm elected, I'm going to push for as much transparency as possible. All the other stuff, yes, we can work that out. But unless we start opening up the books, unless we start disclosing what's out there, we've got nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And now please welcome Jeff Atkinson.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight, and shout out to all the folks that are watching out in YouTube land out there. My name is Jeff Atkinson, and you know, the people that I've talked to in town have all been telling me the same thing. The Carleton place is ready for a change at the town hall. It's not just a change in behavior. When people tell me it's time for a change, they're also telling me that they want the next council to come to grips with the rapid pace of growth we're currently experiencing. They want a council that's better at thinking 10, 20, and 30 years into the future. They see the growth. They also see basic and essential services falling behind and neighborhoods under pressure. They see the arena, the hospital, the high school, the lack of affordable housing. They see the traffic too, and they wonder if things are going to get better or if things are going to get worse. Yes, our town is growing fast. We need to make sure it keeps growing in the right direction. I'm standing here tonight asking for your vote so that I can be on that next council. You see, I'm one of those people who's always thinking about what comes next. I'm also one of those people who's not afraid to ask why things have always been done the same old way. Is there a better way? There's always a better way. I've put this approach to work in many places. On national, provincial, and community executive boards, I've taken on leadership roles all my life, in school, at university, in my workplaces, and in the communities where I've lived. Some of the things that I want to deliver on the next term of council as a member of your town council include opening up the way things work at the council level so it's easier for folks to know what's happening, making it easier for people to have their say in important town decisions so their voice is heard when it can still make a difference. But it's the future that I want to focus on. We need real plans for affordable housing. We need to start thinking about affordable public transit services, especially for seniors. But we also need to fix the official plan so that it's supposed to be guiding us into the future. It's a good plan, but we can do a better job. We need to do a better job, and I want your support to help our town do that better job. Thank you. I'm Jeff Atkinson. I'd appreciate your support.
Thank you, Jeff. And next is Wes Parsons. Wes?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Hello to everyone watching from home. My name is Wes Parsons, and I'm running for town council. So what I wanted to talk to you tonight in my opening remarks is the fact that your vote is a very powerful tool. It carries weight. It makes a difference. And it's not a decision that should be made lightly. You should have confidence in who you choose. Know the person and the values that they bring to the table. You each get to choose names for 5 council positions, but if you're only sure about 1 or 2, you have the right to limit your vote. You're not obligated to fill the whole ballot. Tonight is about being informed. Everyone up here running for council will be telling you why you should vote for them. And I'm going to try and do this a little bit differently and tell you why maybe you shouldn't vote for me. So if you don't know me, if you've never heard of me, or heard the opinion of others that know me, if I haven't been recommended to you or endorsed by a friend or a family member, then maybe you shouldn't vote for me. If you haven't seen our Facebook pages with the videos we've been putting out, if you haven't read my words on my political page or seen my flyer, if you haven't yet seen that I'm capable of learning about the issues that we face as a town and communicating to the people involved about these issues in plain English, then maybe you shouldn't vote for me. If you don't know that I've been attending council meetings since February, that I've met with service organizations working in this town, that I've attended committee meetings and spent time getting to prepared and ready to start the job on day one and hit the ground running, then maybe you shouldn't vote for me. You should give your vote to someone you know all these things about. And if you didn't know those things about me, well, now you do. Obviously, I really do want you to vote for me, but more importantly, I want you to be confident in that vote. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Wes. Now, Kyle McCullough.
Hi, good evening. I'd like to start by thanking the Chamber and all of you for being here and all of you for being there, virtually or in reality. It's been a long process to get here tonight. I've had a lot of great moments and I've had a lot of not so great moments. In the end, I've really enjoyed meeting a lot of new people, a lot of great people. One of the major challenges I've faced in my campaign is an endless attempt to factionalize and split this town apart. It's not healthy. It's caused rifts between myself and people I've considered friends. It needs to stop. There's only one team in this town, and we're all on it. Everybody here, everybody up here, and everybody out there in YouTube land. Mr. Abraham Lincoln said, and I'm paraphrasing, but a town divided on itself cannot stand. It's about choice. You're all here making a choice about candidates. After this election, you need to make another choice. Are we going to keep going the way we are? Or are we going to move on? Are we going to fix things? Are we going to get this working? Staff, the 7 people elected to run the town, can't do it alone. We're going to need all of you. We're going to need everybody working together, not fighting amongst ourselves. We need to look towards a proud future, not look backwards to past grievances. John F. Kennedy said, "United there is little we cannot do. Divided there is little we can do. For we dare not meet a powerful challenge at odds and split asunder." On October 22nd, I'd like your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. And finally, Carolyn Gerbach. Carolyn?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Carolyn Gerbach. I'm a business owner and a resident of Carleton Place. This is my second time running for council. I ran for council 4 years ago. Over the last 4 years, I have to say, I think I may have dodged a bullet in not being elected on the last round. But all that to say, I'm back and I'm ready to run again in the hopes that I can bring the focus of council back to the people where it belongs. I think over the past 4 years that focus has been lost to egos and self-serving projects. I believe strongly that this is a beautiful town with limitless potential. I brag about it all the time to friends and relatives. I know there's tremendous growth happening right now, and I think it's extremely important that that growth is managed properly so that in 20 years we're still living in the beautiful town that this is today, and we're not developing things that we won't be proud of in the future. I went back to the act, actually, the municipal act, because I am a lawyer. And I wanted to read exactly what the municipal act says our role as councillor is. So it says, to represent the public and to consider the well-being and interests of the municipality, to develop and evaluate the policies and programs of the municipality, to determine which services the municipality provides, to ensure that administrative policies, practices, and procedures and controllership policies, practices, and procedures are in place to implement the decisions of council, to ensure the accountability and transparency of the operation of the municipality, including the activities of the senior management of the municipality.
All right, going to have to hold you there, Carolyn. That's your 2 minutes. Thank you very much. All right, so 13 candidates for 5 positions for councillor. Now, we have our questions here, and I'm going to be taking them randomly, and we're going to be doing this in sets of 4. So we'll be starting here, 4 deep, we'll move to a different question, the next 4, and we'll rotate that. So not everybody will be able to respond to the same question, but we just want to mix up the number of questions that we have going for us tonight. So I will dig deep, and we'll start with our first question tonight, and it'll be for the first 4 here. In your opinion, should there be a more restrictive interpretation of the exceptions in the Municipal Act that allow for in-camera meetings in the future? So I'll read that once more. In your opinion, should there be a more restrictive interpretation of the exceptions in the Municipal Act that allow for in-camera meetings in the future? And I'll ask Teresa to start with that if I could. Yeah, I need everybody to stand if we could. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the provisions that the Municipal Act speaks to when it comes to in-camera meetings is the use of the word may. It says council may go in camera. So there's not a requirement that you have to, but there are certain exceptions that if you're dealing with litigation, if you're dealing with land sales, those kinds of things need to be discussed in camera. One of the things that I've spoken to many times this term is our need to decrease our in-camera meetings. And in fact, we did cut them back from when we were having them, it seemed, every Tuesday to once a month or twice a month. So I believe that we have room to improve, but in my opinion, there are things of a legal and a litigation nature that I wouldn't be comfortable talking about in the public sphere, but we don't always have to go into camera, and it's council's choice. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Teresa. If anybody wants me to repeat the question, I can. Okay. So in your opinion, should there be a more restrictive interpretation of the exceptions in the Municipal Act that allow for in-camera meetings in the future? And it is Jamie up next.
Thank you for the question. There is too many in-camera meetings, period. I've been around and seen many council meetings. The only time you need to be in camera is if it's an employee-related issue, if there's litigation, or if there's certain, maybe some things with regards to land. But the only 2 things I see why they would need to be things in camera is litigation to the town, which the council needs to deal with, or you're dealing with an employee issue. That's it. Everything else should be open. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jamie. Next, Paula Villa.
Hey, okay, sorry. Yes. So as I try to say I want as much transparency as possible, obviously the less cameras the better, unless, of course, in the situations that have already been mentioned. Other than that, those meetings should be an open book, 100%.
All right, thank you, Paula. And Andrew Roy Tennant.
Hi. It's 4 for 4. I think there's been too many in-camera meetings. We've all sort of agreed on it. I think everybody's agreed on it. I think this discussion is going to come up a bit more in the next year when council starts looking more in video formatting. It was one of the problems before because we couldn't have the video formatting and the in-camera meetings. They wouldn't sync up well. So I think the discussion is going to happen this coming year, and I'd like to be a part of it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We move on to another question now for our next 4. Question is, do you believe there is an urgent need for seniors housing in Carleton Place? As a member of council, what would you do to make senior housing available? So again, do you believe there's an urgent need for seniors housing in Carleton Place? As a member of council, what would you do to make seniors housing available? And we'll go on to Tracy Quissa.
Oh, there it is. Sorry. Affordable housing and seniors housing is a hot topic the past few months. I've been researching just what power council has to create affordable housing units, looking at the Planning Act, our official plan, and also I met with our planning committee. And in truth, we don't have any more land to build, and municipalities aren't typically landlords. However, councillors can reevaluate our official plan, and we can pass bylaws that make changes to allow for such things as garden suites and second units. And I know this has been something that's been brought up many times, And as councillor, I will definitely support that.
All right, thank you, Tracy. Next will be Linda Secaspina. Do you want the question again, Linda?
The last senior housing we've had in this town pretty well is Elizabeth Court across from Freshco, and that was a long time ago. I suggested that there should be a mandate in this town for developers. If you want to come and build in Carleton Place, you need to build some senior housing or some low-income housing. But did you know that senior housing doesn't make money, so they don't like to do that? So now we're stuck with a problem. So this is a very serious issue, and as I'm older, if my sons didn't look after me, I'd be looking for housing. So I think it's very important, and it should be on the list to do along with low income. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Linda. We move on now to Jennifer Rogers.
Hi. Senior housing and affordable housing is a huge issue, as everybody has already said. That is one of my campaign issues that I'd like to bring to the forefront. We need to address this, not just for seniors, but for young people as well, who can't afford $400,000 and $500,000 homes that are being built now. So we do need to address it. I think we need to think outside the box. Tiny homes, carriage homes, look at our bylaws and see what it is that we can do to allow such things to happen in this town. We can't do what has been done in the past. We need to change. We need to be forward thinking. Our community is getting older. The baby boomers are getting older. We need to address this. It is now that has to be addressed, not 10 years from now, but now. It's very urgent, and that's one of the things I want to run on and I want to make happen in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And finally, Toby Randall.
So one of the things that I've campaigned long and hard about is affordable and senior housing. We did a video, my cohort Wes Parsons and I do videos for most of our campaign points, and today we did one on vision. And one of the things that we as politicians, or politicians wannabe, is that we forget about the people that put us in power. And we have an aging community. I have a mother that's 80. Luckily, she lives at home with my brother. But if she didn't, as Linda so eloquently put, the last seniors housing development was Elizabeth Court, and it was quite some time ago. We need to involve the seniors in these questions. We need to get out and speak to them and find out their needs. We need to hold developers that come to Carleton Place that want to build. We need to let them know what we have for needs, and seniors needs. Seniors housing is definitely one of those. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toby. Another question. Do any of the candidates have a vision or ideas that will promote Carleton Place's individuality and distinctiveness in the years to come, or will you be happy to allow it to become just another bedroom community looking for, like countless others, with strip malls, big box stores, and a dying downtown core? So I'll leave that. So Mark Piper, next.
Distinctiveness.
Thank you.
Gee, that was a tough question. Yes, of course. Yeah. No, we all want Carleton Place to become just another Canada. That'd be fine with everybody in this room, right? The question is not if, the question is how. All right? That means, in the advertising sense, branding. It means what makes Carleton Place unique, freeze it, promote it, save it. We have a beautiful downtown, we have a beautiful history, and we have a beautiful river. Let's start there, okay? Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. We move on to Jeff Atkinson.
I'm not going to make you read that question again.
Thank you.
You could use the practice. Of course, it's a trick question. The answer is all of us want to promote the individuality of our community, and I think the best way to do that is by one of the first projects that council will be tasked with in the new mandate is a review of the official plan. We have a fine official plan right now. It's built on good foundations, but it needs a few patches. And we can craft that official plan into something that will help us build a beautiful Carleton Place so that when we hit 25,000 in population, it still feels like the Carleton Place that we all know and love today. We just have to have that vision, and we have to do some careful planning in order to achieve it. And I think we can do that if we get to work on it right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Wes Parsons.
Thank you. 60 seconds isn't going to give me a chance to answer that whole question, so I'll take a part of it. Yeah, it's a big one. So how do we stop the new people moving into town from making this a bedroom community and living their lives in Ottawa and sleeping their heads here at home in Carleton Place? And the only way to reach those people and to include them into the vision that we have for the town is to engage them where they are, draw them in, and get them to buy into the town of Carleton Place. So we have to be very strategic, and we have to be very intentional in our reach out to these people. We have to get them into the small town feel that we love about Carleton Place. It's the reason they came here in the first place. So we have to make them a part of Carleton Place, reaching them where they are with their families, young singles that are trying to make their way in the world, or their young kids, and engaging them with their social opportunities, or seniors, and engaging them in a senior level. So we have the chance, and if we're strategic and intentional about it, I'm pretty sure that we can get them to adopt Carleton Place and make it their home and not just where they sleep. Thank you.
Thank you, Wes. And Kyle McCullough.
I feel like I want to play devil's advocate, but I can't. I think we do need to do a lot of work to maintain Carleton Place's very distinctive character and look and feel. When my wife and I were looking for somewhere to move from Beckwith, we looked everywhere. We're fairly mobile. We could have gone to Perth. We could have gone to Almont. We could have gone to Stittsville or Canada. Not really. But we chose Carleton Place because we came to Carleton Place and we looked around, and there were some good restaurants, and it looked like a place that was up and coming. And it looked like a place where we could raise a family, and our family could enjoy the parks, the river. We like kayaking, so we have the river, we have the canoe club, we have a great arena, which needs some work. But we're going to have to work really hard. We're going to have to work smartly to make sure that we don't become another Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Move on to another question now, and this question is, there are often questions on what the benefits of heritage are. What would you do to educate and gain support from your fellow councillors to build the will to take actions to preserve local heritage? Would you like the question again? All right. There are often questions of what the benefits of heritage are. What would you do to educate and gain support from your fellow councillors to build the will to take actions to preserve local heritage? And we welcome again Carolyn Gerbach.
So what would I do to encourage fellow councillors to be on board with heritage?
And what actions to preserve local heritage?
Well, I think the heritage is really important in this town. I think it's one of its major charms when you come into town, the heritage and preserving the buildings. For as far as I know, our Heritage Museum is doing a good job in that respect. Perhaps when we're all elected, we could take a visit to the Heritage Museum and see what it's all about and drum some interest up.
All right. Thank you, Carolyn. Teresa Fritz.
As a community that's turning 200 next year, I think it's pretty easy to see that we have a lot of heritage and we have a lot of history. I think we've done a good job. I think we have a very vibrant heritage committee. We have a very vibrant and active museum. Jennifer Irwin needs kudos for that because she's done a lot of great work in publicizing that museum. We have the history that we've put on our murals. We've got Roy Brown, we've got Stompin' Tom. We've managed to bring that history out from the books and put them on the side of our walls. I'd make sure that people understand that. I also think history and heritage plays a big role in your tourism. Maybe we need to look at a strategic plan that looks at arts and culture and heritage, because people will come out here to learn about our past and engage with our past, and I think it's really important, and sometimes it gets forgotten, but it's just as important as recreation and arts and the business of politics as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Jamie DeBay.
Heritage is one of the major, it's the most important thing with our town. We're going through our 200-year anniversary. I think there's some of the major things that we can look at is Roy Brown, who's a World War I hero. He's from this town. We can promote him. There are many. There's the museum. I was at the museum this year, and they had a display for the Canoe Club on its anniversary. So we can work as a council to promote all the great things of this town, all the heritage of this town. There's a lot of heritage. The Ballygibbon riots. There's a lot of heritage that we can promote. And I'm hoping that with this next year push, or this push for the 200-year anniversary, that will be a major motivation for the new council to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Paula Villa.
200 years, that's pretty old. One of the reasons why I first came here, once I moved here, was because of the heritage, was because of Carleton Place's uniqueness, and it's very important to preserve that moving forward, and we just need to promote and we need to advertise our heritage and how old we are and what we stand for here. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. We move on now to another question. If given the opportunity, would you support the growth of the cannabis retail industry in Carleton Place? So if given the opportunity, would you support the growth of the cannabis retail industry in Carleton Place? And again, we start with Andrew Roy Tennant.
Thank you. This has been batted around quite a bit lately. We are asked to opt in or opt out of the cannabis retail market by the province, and it's become quite an argument in municipalities. Personally, I don't have a problem with cannabis. I've invested in it and done well. I don't have a problem with it in my community at all. However, the answer is not as straightforward as yes or no, because I did get a letter today from the president of OPSU explaining that the pros and cons for this, and that it's not necessarily an open and closed case. So, I mean, I would support it so long as we've done all the research and we know we're not going to get caught in a bad position when we agree to it, because we can't opt back in again. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. And Tracy Kawissa.
Well, I've been asked about this a lot, and I just kind of look at places like Colorado and California, and cannabis has put them in the black so far that they can do a lot of really good stuff, and I'm thinking, you know, cannabis isn't all about people toking and getting high and getting nothing done. It's a business, and we have to face reality that it is something that's going to could bring a lot of revenue to our town, and that revenue could do a lot of good. We have a hospital that needs money. Where are we going to get it? So I look at this as an opportunity. I don't think we should close the door on this. I don't think that we need to be narrow-minded about it. I think we need to look at it as an opportunity to raise some money. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. And Linda Secaspina.
I didn't get the heritage question. Anyway. Yeah. This is something that's going to be around, and we can't ignore it. And I just don't want to see things open up on Bridge Street, but I do believe this is a business that's up and coming. And you look at Smith Falls now and what Tweed has done. They have put Smith Falls on the map. And we're going to have to take a look at it, but it's going to have to be done carefully and right. Like I said, I just don't want to see something on the main street, but yes, we need to look at it because look at Tweed. What can I say? Can I talk about heritage now?
Thank you, Linda. And Jennifer Rogers.
Oh boy, what a tangled web we weave when we talk about cannabis. Boy, that's a double-edged sword. It can do a lot of good, the medical marijuana, but on the on the flip side, people can get high and do some crazy, silly things, just like with alcohol. I think we need to really look at this further before we make some absolute decisions. We really need to delve into this. We need to. I did get that same email from OPSU, which brought to light how are we going to manage it, What are the costs to the town? We don't know these things yet. We need to look into this further before we make a final decision. Once you opt in, you cannot opt out. So right now, I would suggest that we opt out until we get all the information so that we can make a proper, informed decision to opt in when the time is right. Thank you.
Jennifer Rogers, thank you. All right, we move on to another question now. The upcoming bridge replacement is going to have a significant, multifaceted impact on the downtown core and business. How do you plan to ensure the downtown as a group is included and consulted during this process? How can we be sure that we will be included in the vision for a new central bridge?
Can you repeat that one more time?
So the upcoming bridge replacement is going to have a significant, multifaceted impact on the downtown core and business. How do you plan to ensure the downtown as a group is included and consulted during the process? And how can we be sure that we will be included in the vision for the new central bridge? I'd say we, I guess, is the business community.
I think that's a pretty simple answer in that I addressed it a little bit earlier in that we as council need to reach out to not only the business community but also just the citizens of the town and get their voice on where we want the town to go. We need a long-term strategic plan. We don't want to think a year out or 2 years out. We need something that's going to last 5, 10, 25 years. So regardless of who is in power on the council, who's on staff with the town hall, that we have something that everybody can love and enjoy down in the future. So we need to engage the business community and find out what they need or what they feel they need when it comes to incorporating the bridge into the downtown core. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Toby Randall. Mark Piper.
I got to say I'm kind of with Toby on this one. Maximum consultation, that's not rocket science, okay? How you structure the consultations? Well, you publish a notice and you seek views and all. But let's go a little bit farther here. Nothing is going to be perfect for any one business owner in the downtown core. It's not going to be perfect for anybody. We're going to have to put these consultations in terms of what can we live with, what can we compromise, and what's going to benefit the most for all the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark Piper. Jeff Atkinson.
Dead Mike. Well, there have been a number of open houses held already with respect to traffic rerouting while the bridge is under construction. But once we have options put forward, I think it's vital to sit down with the business community along Bridge Street, especially the folks on the north end of Bridge Street. But to make sure that they're consulted, completely part of the process. So you know what's going on, you know what kind of delays you can expect, you know what's going to happen to foot traffic, you know what's going to happen to vehicular traffic as well. And that consultation does need to extend beyond the business community because there are a lot of people who walk across that bridge. It's not just drivers who can't afford to be cut off from the main street or just their walk to school. It's going to be a major disruption. We need to be careful about it, but we need to maintain the lines of communication with people so that everybody's informed, everybody knows what's going on, and it reduces the amount of risk to our business community in the downtown core. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. And Wes Parsons.
So the engineers that put the study together gave a bunch of suggestions. And I think the biggest point of contention and the point that's going to be, really need to be discussed with the business community is the option of doing this in 2 stages, one side of the bridge on the south side, then the other side afterwards on the north side and bringing it together. And their time estimate on that option was 2 years. The other option was knocking it out in 6 months. The other thing with the assessment that they did was that it also includes the back bridges. So we're not just talking about the main street that needs some redevelopment and work done, but the back bridges at Bates and Innes as well also needs to be done. So I really think we need to be careful about timing because moving people from one side of town to the other is going to be very tricky if both bridges are all down at the same time. The other thing to consider that's really important is that the main bridge carries a water main for the north side of town underneath it. So if we're going to have impact, we need to make sure that we've taken care of that so that the north side water continues to run. All right, thanks for the time.
Thank you, Wes. New question now. Do you believe the town is doing enough to attract new business and potential jobs to the area? If not, what would you do to attract potential employers? So I'll give that again. Do you believe the town is doing enough to attract new business and potential jobs to the area? If not, what would you do to attract potential employers?
Well, I think the town's been doing the best they can with what we have. I don't think you're ever doing the best that you possibly can do at anything. I'm a teacher. I'm always looking for improvement. I think how we go about that is going to have to be a conversation. We're going to have to sit down with the Chamber, we're going to have to sit down with the BIA, and we're going to have to sit down with the employers that are already here and see how we can go about it. Whether it requires an economic development officer or an economic development office is something that we're going to have to discuss. I think we do have the brain power and the people in this town to make it happen. I think we just need to increase the lines of communication between council, staff, and our business community to see how we can make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Kyle McCullough. Carolyn Gerback.
Yes, thank you. Could you read the question again, please?
Yes. Do you believe the town is doing enough to attract new business and potential jobs to the area? If not, what would you do to attract potential employers?
Well, like my friend said, I think that council has been trying to attract new employers. I think there have been several new employers in the area over the last few years. I think as the town continues to grow, the bigger the population, the more services that are required out here, which will, I'm thinking, will bring more employment growth just naturally. I think that we could be promoting ourselves perhaps a little more out there in different areas, trying to attract business from different areas. And I think if we just, once council reconvenes and we see, I know there was businesses on industrial that were very interested in being a part of the promotion of Carleton Place in general. So we can look at that, and I think there's always room for that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Carolyn. And Teresa Fritz.
I think a big part of attracting any business or any individual to a municipality is marketing. I think we have a marketing strategy that's currently being discussed now. There's some changes being looked at. That promotes your community. It doesn't just promote your community to residents, it promotes it to businesses. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that our Chamber of Commerce has done a wonderful job in the absence of an economic development officer in trying to fill that role, but they can't do it by themselves. I believe we need an economic development officer, someone that is not only meeting in the boardrooms with potential businesses, but being the linkage between our chamber, between Town Hall, between the BIA. I think we have a need for that, but the days of attracting a large business like a Lee Instrument have come and gone. Valley towns aren't attracting that, but it doesn't mean that there aren't businesses that we can bring here and that can enhance what's already in our community. We have a vibrant industrial park, and I think that we just have to pull it all together to make it successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. All right, and we'll move on. Jamie DeBay.
I think we can always do better. I think we can improve. I do believe we need an economic officer, working with the Chamber, working with the BIA, working with council, working with staff, creating that synergies to promote this town so we can have employment in this town for the people of this town. One of the things, I'd love to see more retail. I'd love to see a movie theater in town. I'd love to see other businesses here so that when my kids grow up, they can work here and not have to go somewhere else. So to me, working together, the Chamber, the BIA, economic officer, council, and staff as a group, as a team. When you see there's trade missions that the provinces do or the country does, and they go to another country, they do it all together as a team to promote. And I think we can do that here. We can promote Carleton Place outside different areas of Ontario, saying this is the way, this is the place you want to be to grow in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. New question now. Do you have any plans or ideas for how you might communicate with residents to determine what their views might be on issues? And do your views represent the majority? So I'll read that again. Do you have any plans or ideas for how you might communicate with residents to determine what their views might be on issues, and do your views represent the majority? And we'll be starting off with Paula Villa.
Okay, so one of the things about trying to promote transparency is You know, on the Carleton Place online website, I kind of want to like conduct polls where you, the people, get the opportunity to make answers on very simple questions like where to put picnic tables, where to plant trees, stuff like that. So that is a great way to communicate with the town and the council, is by opening up that website so that they can ask questions, people can see it, it's very transparent, and you know, even the simplest question to the biggest question, and I find that would really open up the lines of communication very well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Paula. If anybody wants me to repeat the question, I can.
Please.
All right. So, Andrew, do you have any plans or ideas for how you might communicate with residents to determine what their views might be on issues, and do your views represent the majority?
The avenues of communication with Town Hall have actually always been quite good, I found. I've never really had a problem communicating with any councillor, by phone call or email, Facebook, whatever. Does it need to be addressed? It might need to be addressed as far as the council being on video streaming. I think that would be a really good step forward in communicating what happens in council to everybody else in an accessible manner. As far as the majority, I don't know if I'm the majority in that particular regard. I assume most people would want video streaming, but I can't be sure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. And Tracy Kwissa.
Well, I think that the best way to hear from everybody is to say, what do you think? And make it really accessible for people to tell me, what do you think? So we need to be interactive on social media, online streaming of council meetings, and also just being visible in the community so that people know that we're available and you can come up and say, I have a question about this, or hey, I have a solution for you about this. Because when people come to me with a solution to a problem, that's awesome. Because then, you can work with them and you can form a committee and you can get excited about it, and then you can get other people excited about it, and that's how you get stuff done. So you just have to be really available and open and honest and willing to listen. That's the key. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tracy. And Linda Secaspina.
Communication anywhere and anything is key. I don't think there's enough communication between the town hall and the citizens. We're fortunate we have social media. We can do polls on that. I like the idea that Brian Dowdle did this year from Beckwith to have the kitchen table discussions, only do them on a larger format, maybe even appointing a citizen advocate. But it's very important that we blend together to make this town go as one. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. All right, a new question now. Simple question. Are you committed to putting shovels in the ground to expand this arena in 2019? So are you committed to putting shovels in the ground to expand this arena in 2019? And we'll start with Jennifer Rogers.
Is that just a yes or no?
It could be.
Could be. Am I committed to putting shovels in the ground in 2019? We have to look at budgets. We have to look at what needs to be done and ensure that we have the costs, the money up front, first off. And we have to prioritize exactly what needs to be done for the arena and go from there. Could we have shovels in the ground to do something? Absolutely, I think we can. But it's a matter of, should we or should we put it off? We need to make sure that what we do is the right thing for the money that's being spent. It's your money. It's the money that we collect from all the citizens in the town. We want to make sure that we're getting the right bang for the buck, that we're doing the right things at the right times. So could it be done? Absolutely. Should it be done? Remains to be seen. I don't mean to be vague, but I want to make sure that what we do with your dollars is the right thing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Toby Randall.
As Linda said about the heritage, I get the arena question. I have Gnome Blade Sports, which is in the arena. So am I for shovels in the ground? Shovels should have been in the ground 3 years ago, quite frankly. The town has been mulling over upgrading the arena for the past 3 years. We've had it in the budget and taken away on numerous occasions. I don't say this because I have a business in the arena. It's 100 square feet, and I sharpen skates. We are the largest municipality in Lanark County, and we have the least amount of new dressing rooms, any kind of work being done to our arena. It needs to be done. The bigger question is 5 new dressing rooms going to be enough? Is there a bigger expansion? Jennifer mentioned taxes. Absolutely, that's something that needs to be considered, but there might be something that needs to be done on a larger scale in 10 and 15 years, and so we need to start saving for that right now, but absolutely we need to do something right away.
Thank you, Toby. Mark Piper.
Well, I'll take this one. Easy answer. If we have a source of funds independent of Carleton Place, government of Carleton Place, yes. If we don't, no. The more complicated question is, what's the other source of funds? Is it going to be private? Do we have a beer company want to buy it? Is it going to be the province of Ontario? But if it's the town of Carleton Place, no.
All right, thank you, Mark. And Jeff Atkinson.
Thanks. This is one of those examples I was speaking about in my opening remarks of how we need to find better ways of doing things and getting things done. To answer the question, yes, I think this is something that's been put off for too long. We need to bite the bullet on this one and get the expansion done. But at the same time, we need to think what is going to need to be done to this place 20 years from now, when we're looking at a 70-year-old facility. What kind of expansion are we going to need here when our population of our town is 50, 75% larger than it is today? I think we need to put something in place immediately, perhaps a fund or a foundation that will actually let this arena start fundraising and building for the future so that we can look at a new facility in 20 years rather than a patch-up job again.
Thank you, Jeff. New question. Kind of a two-parter. Are we using development fees to good use, insisting that developers include parks and other green spaces to the neighborhoods they're creating? Also, should developers have a responsibility to contribute to the creation of affordable housing for low-income persons? I'll read that just one more time. Are we using development fees to good use, insisting that developers include parks and other green spaces to the neighborhoods they're creating? Also, should developers have a responsibility to contribute to the creation of affordable housing for low-income persons? And we welcome Wes Parsons.
Thank you. So part one of that, are we using those funds wisely for the green space? I think the bigger problem here is we're allowing some developers off the hook for those fees, and instead of, or not for the fees themselves, but for the green space aspect of it. So instead of having them be responsible to the obligation of improving and increasing the green space for the town, we allow them to do a buyout. So they give us funds instead of including that park in that new subdivision. So what we need is making sure that the green space, which is the priority, is in those subdivisions, because it's not just a place for the kids to play. It's also part of the entire water management system as well, and we've seen that that's been really an issue with the Roy Brown Park and the stuff that's happening down in Bodner. So definitely we need to make sure that that's held responsible. Can we also levy them for affordable housings as part of that that development fund? We can do whatever we want. It's up to us to define that principle. So we set the rules and we make it available to them to pay that, and we set those funds aside for affordable housing. Absolutely.
Thank you, Wes. Kyle McCullough.
I gotta say, I agree with just about everything Wes said there. I don't actually have a lot to add to that, but I do notice a lot in this town that we have rules that we have set for certain things, and then we throw them out the window. We don't enforce them, we ignore them, and things happen that end up out of our control. So what we need to do is we need to have hard, fast rules on how developers are going to do things. If we want parks in our new developments, then we're going to have to put parks in our new developments, and we're going to have to make that a rule, and we're going to have to stick to that rule. We can't just have a rule and an idea and then say, well, if you throw $5,000 over here, we'll skip the park part. If you want to clear cut that entire lot near Walmart, yeah, just go ahead and do that. We'll figure it out later. We can't do that. We need to decide how we want our town to be. This goes back to the heritage question. This goes back to the Canada question. And we just need to make our rules, we need to stick to them, and we need to enforce them all. Thanks.
Thank you, Kyle. Carolyn Gerbach.
I agree as well. I think that the green spaces in all the new developments are extremely important. I also would even go as far as to say that why are we not putting bike paths in when we're building these new developments? It's too late to put bike paths in once the roads are built. It's too expensive. We could be negotiating these kinds of things to add to our community when the developers are developing. The affordable housing, I'm very interested in affordable housing for all, for seniors, but also for our young people. The fastest demographic of household that's growing in Canada today is the single person in a home. Those single people are not buying the 4 and 5 bedroom houses anymore. So we have to start looking and thinking for the future of what's going to be down the road and what people are going to want to live in the future.
Thank you, Carolyn. And Teresa Fritz.
Our development charges bylaw is something that the municipality reviews on a regular basis, but any money raised from development charges has to be used for projects, funding projects related to growth. I believe that I would like to look at seeing if we can use development charges for the arena, for example. We've been told that that's not related to growth. I'm not convinced. As for the green space, I've really become not a fan of the cash in lieu when it comes to not having the green space and developments, and I think we need to have less cash in lieu and we need to have green space in those developments. As for the affordable housing, once again, I think everybody agrees it's something that is required, but I think we need to work with the different levels. We need to work with the county, we need to work with the province, and maybe we do come up with a way that when developers are coming in, that we can have some kind of portion of that development be affordable housing. I'm not sure, I don't have the answers, but it's definitely something worth looking at. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. New question now. The BIA has initiated and run several community events over the years, including Lambsdown Festival, the Comic Book Day, Summerfest, Pumpkin Fest, the Christmas Parade, and more. These events have grown significantly and benefit the community. What role do you see for the town, if any, in ensuring these events continue to serve our growing population? What sort of value do you place on those events? I'll read it once again. So the BIA has initiated and run several community events over the years, including Lambsdown Festival, Comic Book Day, Summerfest, Pumpkin Fest, the Christmas Parade, and others. These events have grown significantly and benefit the community. What role do you see for the town, if any, in ensuring that these events continue to serve our growing population, and what sort of value do you place on those events? Jamie DeBay.
The BIA has done an amazing job with regards to promoting these events in our town. Lambsdown Festival is amazing. I always go with my kids. They enjoy it. I think they've done an amazing job. And I think the town and council, it'd be good to work together with them to promote this outside of Carleton Place, outside of Lanark, to get other people from other parts of the province to come and visit us and see what the importance is of our town. I like the idea that what the BIA has done. They've done a tremendous job, and I support them 100%. And we only can get better by having the town work with the BIA on improving this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Paula Villa.
So these are huge events for the town. They're very community-driven. They're family-driven. They bring people together, whether it's on the street, at Lambsdown, the Santa Claus Parade, all this stuff. It's so important to this town. I'd actually like to see a few more events, like maybe the Pride Festival we had. That brought a lot of people into town. That brought people from out of town. These events are so key for this town, and it's so key for the communities and families. It's very important.
Thank you, Paula. Andrew Roy Tennant.
I go to every single one of those with my kids every year. So they're really important. They are. They offer us some identity as a town that you're going to see the same people out. You're going to see the same things that you saw last year. You're happy about some new things. They really are great. As far as the town's involvement, besides funding, partly on the BIA funding, but the community enrichment grant might be used more for this type of thing. We might be able to do bigger and better. It's something that can be looked at. I don't think it's normally set aside for something like this, and it's not normally known about, but if we want to do a bigger event, expand on one of these, we might be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. And Tracy Kawissa.
The BIA does a fantastic job with these events, and I love being at them and seeing community out. I think it's a great way to bring everybody in town together and see faces that you haven't seen in a long time. I think council could help promote these events. I think it's a really great opportunity to increase our tourism and draw people in. And I think that we could put Carleton Place on the map, and I think we could add other events. I think Pride could get bigger and better. I think that we could have a music festival. I think we could have arts festivals. I'm thinking of things like the Jazz Festival and Stewart Park Festival and things. We have a gorgeous park. Why are we not having festivals there? It's a beautiful place for people to go. So we have a lot to offer in Carleton Place, and as far as I'm concerned, let's make the best of the summer, and the more festivals, the better.
Thank you, Tracy. New question now. Do you believe there's an urgent need for affordable housing in Carleton Place? What is your definition of affordable? And as a member of council, what would you do to make more affordable housing available? So do you believe there's an urgent need for affordable housing in Carleton Place? What is your definition of affordable? And as a member of council, what would you do to make more affordable housing available here? So Linda?
It's not working at all.
All right. Tracy? Oh, okay.
I've talked about this a lot. What is affordable housing now? Is it $800? Is it $1,000? What is affordable housing now? But you walk or drive down near where on Town Line, you see the county has homes there. Some of them are vacant, and it's just sitting there. And I wonder if I'm going to live to see these places rebuilt. There's a big demand for this right now, but developers don't like doing this because it doesn't make money. So where do you draw the line as a town? Where do you say enough is enough? And like I said before, in Berkeley, California, I lived there, and there was a mandate that you had to build affordable or senior housing. It was imperative. And I don't know why we can't do it here. The government has issued some new things in, but it's not enough, and it's not taking the developers to task enough to do this because we desperately need it, and we can't rely only on county. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Jennifer Rogers.
In banking, we use what we call total debt service ratio or gross debt service ratio. These are ratios that we use as a percentage of income to qualify people for mortgages. So using some kind of similar ratio as a percentage of income would be a determination as to what affordable housing is for any individual. I think that's something that could be used across the playing field and applied evenly to all individuals. There is an issue. My kids can't move out of the home because they can't find places to rent or to move into in Carleton Place that they can actually afford. If you're making a minimum wage, it's very difficult to live on your own and be independent. And that's what it's all about, not relying on other people to foot the bill for you, but to be independent and be on your own. This is something that we need to think outside the box. We need to push the agenda forward. We need a voice on council that is willing to push this to the county level, to the province level, and think outside the box and get this done for us.
Thank you, Jennifer. Toby Randall.
I think the obvious answer is yes. Obviously, we need to do something on the affordable housing front. We brought up Patty Drive. The houses there are being vacated. That is owned by the county. We are going to have to work with all levels of government, federal, provincial, the county, ourselves. For those of us that have been to council meetings over the past number of months, tiny houses has been a big issue that's been brought up, and Lanark County is trying to be on the forefront of that. So we as a council need to look at every option to make sure that everybody in town is able to afford a house. What's affordable? Unfortunately, that varies, but we need everybody at every level, regardless of whether you're $100,000 a year or $20,000 a year. Everybody deserves and needs housing, and so we must do whatever we can to ensure that. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. And Mark Piper.
Last time I was at the food bank, I was talking to the director there, and she said to me, if we didn't have a housing problem, we wouldn't need a food bank. The reason that people don't have enough money to buy food is because they can't afford their rent. They can't afford their house. Yes, of course we have a housing problem in this town. Yes. How do we solve it? Well, let's balance something. People who own houses in this town already, they don't want to lose the value of their house. So we have to find other places to put those places. We have to examine all alternatives, tiny houses, places to rent. But yeah, we got a problem, and we can't hurt current homeowners, but we got to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And we move on now to our final question for the councillors, candidates. And the question is, do you support the concept of an economic development committee led by the town, engaging the Chamber and the BIA and other stakeholders? So again, do you support the concept of an economic development committee led by the town and engaging the Chamber and the BIA and other stakeholders? And Jeff Atkinson.
This is an economic development committee as opposed to an economic development officer or an economic development desk.
It's a committee.
It's a committee.
Yeah.
Am I opposed to it? No. Consultation with the business community is key. If we were to move forward with an economic development officer, someone needs to inform that officer of the situation in town. So the more consultation, the better. The more information your council and staff can get from the local business community, the better. That committee is a means to do it. More information, the better. Better decisions, better town.
Thank you, Jeff. Wes Parsons.
Do we need an economic development office? Absolutely. We need a team, because I think just a single point of reference on this isn't going to be enough to get the job done. We've got a pretty large and growing town as it is, and we've got a lot of different businesses at different stages of development. And if we want to do things like attract new businesses, industrial lands, industrial type businesses, more commercials, commercial space, but also to look at the idea of making sure that the businesses we have in town continue to thrive, or protect those that might be at risk or in danger of closing. So I think this needs to be something that's a little more comprehensive than just one individual who goes out and try to solicit new people to move to town and open up businesses. But definitely I'm in support of that. In fact, I applied for the economic development officer job when it was open last time around. So this is something that I would be happy to put some time and effort into as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Wes. Kyle McCullough.
Getting a little sense of deja vu on this one. I think I answered this one about 15, 20 minutes ago. So when you're talking about economic development committee, it is something that we need to do. And as we were talking about earlier with economic development and bringing new business to town, it's a discussion we have to have with everybody. We have to open it up to the businesses we have here. We are great minds of the Chamber, the BIA Council, town staff. Everybody needs to be involved, and we need to figure out where we're going to go with it, where we're going to put these new businesses, new employers, and how we're going to go about bringing them in. If it comes down to having an economic development office and that works fine, that's fine. If we need to go steps further, then we'll need to go steps further, but we need to figure out where we want to go, and then we have to figure out how we're going to get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. And Carolyn Gerbach.
I think that if we do end up bringing on an economic officer, then certainly a committee would be sensible to go with it. I think that having an economic officer may allow us to punch a little above our weight and perhaps attract people that as the town we haven't been able to reach yet. Having said that, I don't know if that's a definitive answer going forward, whether we're having one or not, but I would support at least investigating what the benefits of having the officer are and a committee following that.
All right, thank you, Carolyn. All right, and thanks for everybody that's been putting in the questions tonight. That finishes up our questions for the candidates for council. We're going to now have remarks that are the closing remarks. These are 1 minute in length, and again, you'll be paddled into the 30-second and 10-second and a bell at the end if needed. And we're going to do this in reverse order, as we mentioned. So we'll start closing remarks with Carolyn Gerbach.
Hi, so my closing remarks are basically the finishing of my opening remarks. Whereas I was saying that the role of a councillor is to represent the community, first and foremost. My ideas, I think bringing my ideas to council are important, but they're not as important as bringing your ideas to council. As a councillor, our job is to represent you, to be your voice. So regardless of what I have in my mind for the town, if it's not with the majority of the town or if it's not for the betterment of the town, that makes no difference. I'm here to hear what you want and bring that forward to council. Thank you.
Carolyn Gerbach. Kyle McCullough next.
Hi, I just want to say you guys missed a really great sunset. Thanks for coming again. It's been a lot of fun, and I've talked a lot about teamwork, and I've talked a lot about making choices. And one of the choices I mentioned was, what are you going to do after the election? So I sat at a affordable housing committee meeting early in the election process, and there were 38 people there. We had a second meeting, and there were 8. So October 22nd, I'm assuming everybody in this room is going to vote. That's only the start of the job. The rest of the job is being there after we vote, to help steer the town, to help keep the town the way we want, to help make this town a town we can be proud of. The job doesn't end on October 22nd. I'm going to ask you all right now to not disappear on October 23rd for another 4 years. Thank you.
Kyle McCullough. Wes Parsons.
Thank you. 60 seconds is not a lot of time, so what I want to do here is encourage you to get more information. So this is a great venue. The last event that the Chamber did was a little more one-on-one and personal, and that was great. But again, I started talking about confidence in the person that you're putting your vote into, and so I want to encourage you, if you haven't heard enough here yet tonight, most of us have websites and Facebook pages that you can get more information about us on. The tables are loaded with our flyers and pamphlets. Reach out to me specifically. I'm available on Facebook. My phone number is public. My email is public. So I've had people call me up and invite me out for coffee. Just make sure that the people you're casting your vote with are absolutely representing what you want them to do for you on council. So thank you for this time, and I hope to hear from you in the future, and I hope to get your vote on the 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you, Wes Parsons. Next is Jeff Atkinson. Jeff?
Again, there we go. Yes, thank you. I'm here tonight asking for your vote so that I can be a member of your new town council after October the 22nd. I think the one strength that I have to offer to that new council is, as I said in my opening remarks, I'm the guy that's always thinking about tomorrow. I'm the guy who's always thinking 10 or 20 years into the future, but where we need to be and how we need to position ourselves in order to succeed further down the line. I'm not into quick fixes and patch-ups. You can find out more about me on my website, jeffatkinson.ca. There's a lot more to me than you're going to hear over the next 30 seconds. But I want to finish my closing remarks tonight by congratulating all 13 of the people up here at the front of the room for putting your names forward to offer your service to our community. You've got 13 people willing to give a lot of their time over the next 4 years standing up here. Only 5 of us are going to make it onto that council. Please use the other 8 of us. If you've got a committee, recruit us. We've offered to put our time forward. Please make use of us over the next 4 years. Have a good night.
Thank you, Jeff. Jeff Atkinson. Mark Piper.
Well, part of what I have to say, I don't have to say to you because you're all here paying attention. Thank you all for coming out. Yeah, and for coming out and learning things. Talk to somebody who isn't here. Tell them to get themselves informed, please. I mean, there are a lot of things we could talk about. You guys all pay taxes, right? So, yeah, let's start worrying about where the money's going. Let's start getting more information out there. Oh, by the way, business taxes are too high. And let's get everybody out to vote on the 22nd. Thank you.
Mark Piper. Thank you, Mark. And Toby Randall.
I'm going to echo what Mark just said at the very end there, and that is to vote. Drag people. We need everybody within the town. 47% is just not going to cut it. I hope you vote for me on the 22nd. I hope that you entrust me. I want to be part of the changes that are sure to come over the next 4 years and are going to come over the next 5 and 10 years. What we're going to do for the next 4 years, should we get on council, isn't about next week, next year. It's about what's going to happen for your kids, grandchildren in the future. We want to make Carleton Place everything that it can be, and I want to be part of that, and I hope I get your vote on the 22nd. Thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Toby. Edward Toby Randall. Jennifer Rogers is up next.
Hi. My tagline is, let me be your voice on council, because it's not about me. It's not about what I want. It's about what you want to see happening in this town of ours. So please, vote for Jennifer Rogers. Let me be your voice. Let me hear your thoughts, your concerns, your ideas as to how we can move forward with the topics of the day. There's many topics that were brought up today. All of these are very, very important to all of us. We need to have a council that's willing to work together to be a cohesive unit, that's willing to spearhead each and every one of these issues for you on your behalf. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. We need your voice to vote. We need your help on the committees and the meetings that are going to be held. So please, let me be your voice on council. Vote for Jennifer Rogers. I look forward to seeing you on voting day. Thank you.
Jennifer Rogers. Linda Secaspina.
Leadership starts with a willing heart, a positive attitude, and a desire to make a difference. If I am lucky enough to be chosen for council, I will do my very best to work together with a team to lead not only with my head, but with my heart. Before you vote on October 22nd, I am asking you to check out every single person running for office, including me. Don't vote for someone just because you went to school with them or you knew their family. I'm not the same person as I was in high school, and most certainly nothing like my father or mother, trust me. Go to the polls and vote for the candidate of your choice, but please think before you vote so we do not have a repeat of the last 4 years. As George Bullock from Hopetown said to Eldon Henderson, who quoted in his book, "You can make your town what you want it to be. It isn't the town, it's you." My name is Linda Secaspina. It's at the bottom of the voting list, but my name is the longest. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Tracy Kawissa.
Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. I am an optimist. I believe in the possibilities that exist in the words, what if? What if we search for solutions instead of putting up barriers? What if we believe we can find a solution to any problem that comes our way? What if we choose to work together? What if? It's rooted in hope for something better, hope for a future that leaves no resident behind, hope that together we can all live in this town that we call home with dignity. I have the hope and the confidence to get us there. I believe my role as councillor will be to work collaboratively with everyone on council and in town hall and to guide our town to a prosperous future. I'll bring honesty, integrity, and compassion to the table, understanding that we must maintain a professional and transparent relationship with residents. Please vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy Kawissa. Andrew Roy Tennant.
Thank you. Hi again. I'm Andrew Tennant. I have a modest platform online if you care to view it at tenantforcouncil.com. There's also 3 pages, long pages of text there if you care to read any of my ideas. It outlines my desire to focus on maintaining our infrastructure in light of recent growth and how my background in construction could be a valuable asset on council for this. I'm also very serious about finally getting our council meetings in video, which I mentioned earlier. I also mentioned keeping our tax rate at or below the rate of inflation as a high priority. And finally, I have some ideas about preserving older buildings and rehabilitating for modern use. I write about the positive effects this can have for us and how the town can be involved. I humbly ask for your consideration. Thank you.
Andrew Roy Tennant, thank you. Paula Villa.
Well, that was fun. I hope it was worth your time. In closing, I want to say that this journey has been amazing. The coffee I've had with so many unique people, the stories I've heard, everyone wants something here, from picnic tables to hotels. The passion in RCP is unbelievable. So again, I'm an open book. This is me. I don't pretend I have all the answers, but I'd like to. I'm a highly motivated, energetic, passionate doer. And it's my promise to you to continue to think outside the box and continue to examine every angle and ask, why can't we? So remember, on your voting ballot, start at the bottom, check number 23, VILLA, and then vote for 4 more people for council, because fill all the slots, because you need to vote for a team. A vote for me is a vote for our CP. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Jamie DeBay.
I'd like to thank my family and all their support during this campaign, especially Chantel, my spouse, my 5 kids, Jamie, Sarah, Keaton, Adam, and Eva. The kids have talked to their friends at school, so I'm pretty sure I have the elementary and high school vote. So next on the agenda, lowering the voting age. I leave you with this quote from Abraham Lincoln. Elections belong to the people, it's their decision. In the advance poll this Saturday, next Wednesday or online, or during Election Day on October 22nd, I want to be part of your decision. Please vote for Jamie DeBay for Town Council. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Jamie. And Teresa Fritz.
Thank you all for coming. I'm a communicator. I mean what I say what I mean. People might not always agree with every vote I've cast over the last 4 years, but I've made a point of trying to explain why I voted the way I have. I've had some good discussions. There's been some discussions that haven't gone as well, but I've always been open to that, and I still am. Someone here said the community's broken. The community's not broken. It's bruised. And I think we can all help it heal. I think we need to. The downtown's not dying, but there's room for improvement. Our hospital's not dying, but we're going to be getting a new emergency department, and I hope that the campaign will start either at the end of this year or early in January. So we've got a lot of good things going on. I think I've contributed to that in the last 4 years, and I want to contribute again. So please vote for me, Teresa Fritz, Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Well, there you have it, our 13 candidates for council, each with their own distinctiveness. And with that, we're going to take a break. But first of all, a nice round of applause for these people putting the names forward for this year. We'll be taking a 10-minute break to allow the candidates to reposition. We've got coming up next the Deputy Mayor and the Mayor. And Jamie?
Just one thing we want to let everyone know. You're going to be seeing some signs coming off the wall. It is a bylaw for the no signs on walls in the municipal building. So the signs that are on walls will be coming down, and that's the reason why. Thank you.
tonight. And as we'll remind you, this is being sponsored by the Carleton Place and District Chamber of Commerce. My name is Brian Perkin from Lake 88. We're moving on to the candidates now for Deputy Mayor and Mayor. Just a reminder, we at Lake 88 have been doing a series of mayor position roundtable discussions. Our roundtable discussion for Carleton Place is coming up tomorrow, and the candidates have been invited. That's going to be right after the 12 noon news on In Focus for the Carleton Place Mayor's Roundtable on Lake 88. Now, we welcome back the folks that are putting their names forward for mayor and deputy mayor positions. Almost the same format as what we did before. We're going to be starting with opening remarks. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening remarks. Our timekeeper will be signaling, again, 30 seconds and then 10 seconds remaining, and then the bell when the time is up. So that'll be 2 minutes for opening remarks, and then we'll move on to the questions segment. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question, and we'll be going down the entire row and starting in different areas there for the questions, but all of the candidates will be answering the same question. And we got a little feedback at the break, so I'm going to be quickly doing the question once again before each of the candidates answers the question. All right? So let's go on and to opening remarks, again, 2 minutes each, and we're going to be starting here with Craig T. Rogers.
Hello. I'm Craig Rogers.
I'm sorry, if I could ask you just to get the mic a little bit closer to you, that would be great. Just a fist's space away, that'll be great. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Craig Rogers. I'm seeking Deputy Mayor of Carleton Place. We are here tonight with one common connection. We all love living in Carleton Place, but that is not enough. We need a council to be a positive, committed, talented, and hardworking group to keep Carleton Place on the course for future success. We are not responsible for past council problems, but we can learn from them. If a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. I am committed to a positive future. I am committed to strategic planning. 30 years ago, I was elected to town council that envisioned and procured the funding plan to construct McNeely Avenue corridor, as well as a sewage service expansion. That strategic plan created the basis, has resulted in the success of Carleton Place today. I was mentored by great mayors, Mayor Eldon Henderson, Melba Barker, Brian Costello, all visionaries who loved this town. With their encouragement, I became an elected school board trustee for Carleton Place, building Arkland School and a Carleton Place High School expansion. We got results. I've been on the Carleton Place Hospital Foundation, a board member of the Lanark County Children's Aid Society. I'm a certified negotiator from Osgoode Hall Law School in Toronto. I've been elected by the Lanark County Lawyers Association as president to successfully represent Lanark County in provincial legal affairs. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., I'm meeting with Carolyn Mulrooney, the new Attorney General of Ontario, to seek funding for the restoration of the Perth Courthouse. Ironically, 30 years ago, her father, Brian Mulrooney, appointed me to the Human Rights Tribunal. I also taught contract law at Carleton University. As a lawyer, I have years of experience in municipal law, insurance law, and contract law. Respectfully, I offer this experience to our town. We all love this town. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Craig Rogers. We also now would like to welcome Ray Dolmage.
Good evening, my name is Ray Dolmage. I've lived in Carleton Place since 1982, and I'm here because I met my wife on a blind date, and she's Debbie Crane from Carleton Place. We raised our 3 children here. They went to high school here. I did my business work, and my career has been spent in the last 30 years in codes, standards, and regulations. The signs that you see in this room, I chair the Committee for Canada that is responsible for 6,500 graphical symbols. So the running man is a symbol that you might see. The hospital sign, that's one that I oversee internationally and nationally. My work in the volunteer area in Carleton Place I was on the Carleton Place Hospital Board for 4 years, chairing the big committee that handles the money and the resources, and I know very much how much it needs expansion. I think the key thing for my platform is we have to have integrity. I hold myself accountable, as my parents always taught me, that I have to be able to go to bed at peace at night knowing I did the right thing. So as a councillor or a deputy mayor, I would hold myself to that. But in the terms of what the town needs, we need to have affordable housing for seniors, young people, and single people. Rents at $975 a month are just too much. We can do better. We should do better. There are a lot of sources out there to solve that. We have to deal with the bridge. Infrastructure is a big thing, not just the bridges, the roads, but also the hospital, the high school. A lot of things in this town and the arena need to be worked on. I think the biggest thing for me coming up is that we do have to deal with Economic Development Office. Our tax base is too much based on residential. We don't have enough business. So for me, the big thing is let's put in an Economic Development Officer system that we can then use that to leverage out the tax base, and then we can move on with the other things that have to be done to make this town continue to be what it is, and also to make it a place 15, 20 years down the road that people want to live in, work in, and be involved in. Thank you.
Ray Dolmich. Thank you, Ray. And Sean Redmond.
For those of you who don't know me, I've been on council for the last 4 years. I am the chair of Planning and Protection. As your councillor, I made a commitment to our community. I've been active in attending and supporting events and causes. I have sat on 12 different committees over the 4 years, hearing and understanding community concerns, issues, and working with you to make our community a better place to live, work, and play. I'm out in the community, and I am approachable. Over the last 4 years, I've taken stands and spoke out when needed, and did not sway or bend to various pressures. I made my decisions based on what was the best interest of the town. I know that some of you may agree with my decisions, and some don't. I stand on my decisions. That is part of my job. I'm not afraid to make decisions. I have read, researched, talked to several people, groups, and committees and staff to make informed decisions with facts for you, and not only for today, but the next 5, 10 to 20 years. At times over the last 4 years, our achievements have been overshadowed by some negative events. I would like to take a moment to talk to you about our achievements. Old Canadian Tire Building, we have solved the environmental problem with a pump and treat process. Our downtown core is more vibrant than it has been in decades. I supported and will continue to support the facade improvement program. The pumping station on Highway 7, I supported this as this will facilitate economic development for years to come. Our employment lands. Rose Street was developed and brought forward faster than we planned, and we have sold 9 of the 12 lots. Some construction has begun and planning stage for others. We have purchased 30 acres of employment land and purchased lots south of Highway 7 and 29. That's just a few things that this council has done, and I am committed to continuing working for the town of Carleton Place.
Thank you, Sean Redmond. Those are your 3 candidates for deputy mayor for the town of Carleton Place. We move on now to our candidates for mayor for Carleton Place, and we start with Louis Antonakis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Louis Antonakis, and I am the current sitting mayor of the town of Carleton Place. Before I begin, I would like to thank each of you for attending this evening's event, and I would also like to especially thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting the 2018 All Candidates Night. As mayor of Carleton Place, I am excited and proud to present to you my re-election campaign platform, which focuses on the work that our community has done together. It outlines what we can continue to accomplish and ensure that our municipality moves forward on a path of improving our quality of life by further investing in recreational facilities, our arena, our parks and trails, environmental initiatives, and arts and cultural programs that most benefit the health and safety of all our community members. We've had 4 years of growth, of stability in our community, and this is something that all of us can be proud of as residents, elected officials, and our town staff. To know that our community has become one of the top communities in Ontario to live in, and according to Money Sense magazine, the 5th best place in Canada to retire is no small accomplishment. And much of this success resides in the fact that our community has come together and it has embraced change. During my term in office as mayor, our municipality has been successful in a number of different areas. tax increases have been held to under 2% for the last 4 years. We have received over $100 million in new economic development and investment in our community, $8.75 million in hospital funding for a new emergency room was secured, 50+ new businesses up within our municipality, and over 2,000 new homes are currently planned, with many new builds already underway or completed. I look forward to the remainder of this evening's events and will provide you with more specific information in regards to my platform. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Louis. Louis Antonakis. Ralph Lee.
In 1960, a young Anglophone lawyer ran for mayor of Montreal. He had a difficult task ahead of him as he was Anglophone, and however, he did quite well. However, he lost to Jean Drapeau. That was my father who ran in that election. Unfortunately, over the next 4 decades after Jean Drapeau was elected, Montreal was plagued by systemic corruption, which really hurt the citizens of that city. And as we all know, that city has been plagued with corruption, as well as their infrastructure is dying. That is what happens when a town does not hold its elected officials to account. And that is the reason I'm running for mayor of Carleton Place. The dysfunction, infighting, and scandals over the past 4 years is absolutely unacceptable, and it is painfully obvious that we need real change here in Carleton Place. If elected, I will restore trust, accountability, and ethics in all the work and events that the town is involved in. I think that is extremely important after the 4 years that have gone by. Thank you. My core values of honesty, hard work, and integrity will translate into a well-functioning professional government, listening to residents' concerns and acting in the best interests of the town. Many of you may know me as a local business owner and lawyer who works and lives in Carleton Place. Many of you don't know that I have had a prior successful career in politics in which I was able to build institutions at my university and was very successful. As I have 10 seconds left, we truly need change in Carleton Place. And I look forward to your support on October 22nd. Thank you.
Ralph Lee. And Douglas Black.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for coming out tonight. For my introductory remarks, I will take the opportunity to address leadership, the necessity of effective management, and the importance of economic development to ensure a sustainable tax rate. Mayoralty leadership is always important, but particularly for this upcoming term of council, which will consist of a majority of newly elected members. This new council must get up to speed as quickly as possible. I will contribute to the creation of an informed council who will individually enjoy a constructive environment, ensuring proper due diligence. I will strive to build consensus to ensure that all parties and staff have a successful working environment. A positive work environment ensures that residents in the community come first. Effective management is necessary. The task of establishing the services the town offers our residents, planning for, and providing the necessary infrastructure to support these services and their costs is a complex exercise involving all areas of council. I will lead our council by demonstrating a strong commitment to providing good governance and by placing our community first. Sustainable tax rate. In spite of our community's residential growth, we need to be cognizant of the corresponding reduction in government grants received by the town. I view economic business growth as a major contributor to resolving this concern, and I will promote a sustainable tax rate. Our council needs to shift the tax burden from the residents to a more balanced tax sharing ratio between residents and industry. I welcome the opportunity to have some meaningful discussion here this evening. Thank you.
Douglas Black. All right, we'll be moving on now to our questions period. The responses to these should be 1 minute long. Again, our timer is going to flag you in at the 30-second and the 10-second mark. We put the questions that were proposed to the councillors back in the bin as well. I'm pulling them randomly, and we'll see what we have. The first one is a doozy, a long one. An evidence-based community-led model for preventing, delaying early use of both illegal and illicit substances have been proved in Iceland and many communities in Europe, South America, and Africa. In the spring, Carleton Place Council unanimously passed a motion endorsing the Carleton Place Municipal Drug Strategy Committee's objective to work with others across Lanark County and the town of Smiths Falls to develop and implement a plan to bring the model to Lanark County. If elected to Carleton Place Council, how will you actively support this community-led initiative in its goal to improve our community's ability to provide children and youth with an environment that promotes mental wellness and healthy lifestyles? I'm happy to read the question, should all the candidates prefer. Would you like it read again? I'm going to be starting with Craig.
Are you serious?
In my heart, yes. Would you like it again?
That's not a question.
No.
Come on.
So I guess the question, when we get to the bottom of it, if elected, Carleton Place Council, how will you actively support this community-led initiative to see its goal improve our community's ability to provide children and youth with an environment that promotes mental wellness and healthy lifestyles?
Okay. My career as a lawyer, I deal with youth on a regular basis, dealing with substance abuse, mental health issues, and issues that interfere with their appropriate growth and stage of life. We are fortunate that we in this community, we have an active participation from the police community to intervene in the school programs with youth at risk. We have very fortunate to have mental health workers that intervene with youth at risk, and we also have systems of mental health open doors that assist children at risk. So we have the infrastructure already available to assist youth at risk in substance abuse. What we need to do is to enhance that service to youth without escalating costs to the community. The police are doing an excellent job now. They may need, for example, the police have started a program to have a nurse available at a first instance of an intervention with mental health.
All right, I'm going to have to
stop
you there.
We are very
I'm going to have to stop you there, but I appreciate your answer, Greg Rogers. So we're dealing with the Carleton Place Municipal Drug Strategy Committee's objective to work across the county, and if elected, how would you actively support this initiative? Ray Dolmage.
Well, look at it is we have to have better collaboration. In my work in the hospital, for example, I noticed that sometimes one group that could help doesn't talk to the other. I know about open doors and other groups that I've worked with. I believe that therefore the town has a responsibility, and I would like to see that happen, to make the communication effective and establish some rules of practice. If that means that we have to open and set up programs and help fund them, then I think that's part of the role we have to take on as the town council.
All right, thank you. Ray Dolmage. Again, a question again, or you're okay to go?
I'm good with it, yes.
Thank goodness. Thank you. Sean Redmond.
I am a member of the Carleton Place Drug Strategy and a member of the Planet Youth Committee. I'm aware of this program. I support it 100%. As Deputy Mayor, I will fight not only at Carleton Place, but also at Lanark County to provide funding for this program and encourage all members of Lanark County to do the same thing.
Thank you. Louis Antonakis.
Thank you. I am a founding member of the Municipal Drug Strategy Committee, one of the founding members, and I'm also on the Planet Youth Lanark County. And this issue of mental health and substance abuse is very quickly becoming a very, very serious problem across the land. You know, I'm very pleased to be part of this, and there's a lot we can do, but to answer the question specifically, the one way that we can support this initiative is through funding locally. So as when we go through our process and we're looking at different events, and there's one coming up in this room in November, they need help funding. So the municipality can help there. Another area is at the county level. We need to advocate at the county level for these kinds of very important community issues. It's not just in the town of Carleton that it affects all of our areas within the county, and that includes the rural. And another one is just general support.
All right, thank you very much. Louis Antonakis. Ralph Lee.
Yeah, as a lawyer, I obviously deal with many individuals who have mental health issues and sometimes substance abuse problems. We do have infrastructure in Carleton Place to deal with that. Of course, it's never. There's always more you can do, and I think our strategy shouldn't only be reactive, like funding initiatives and funding methadone and so forth. We need to have a town where youth have employment and where youth have things to do, and youth and our community can be, have a positive. People only turn to drugs when there's, I don't want to say not enough to do, but when they have good community and family support. And I think that's something that we need to do here in Carleton Place, and that will reduce, by the way, drug addiction without dealing with it as a reactive strategy and just trying to throw money at a problem. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ralph. And Douglas Black.
I have not had the opportunity yet to be on either of these committees, but I can and feel very comfortable to state that, yes, we do have an issue with mental health and addiction. I have the empathy for those individuals over listening to many presentations by people from Lanark County and Carleton Place. I recently attended a conference in Carleton Place where we discussed the combination of mental illness and addiction together and how they play a role. When the Planet youth came to Carleton Place at the conclusion of their presentation, I complimented both Dave Somby and Brian Turner, and I said to them that they are the people making a difference out there. I will continue to support the initiative. It's necessary and needed in Carleton Place, and look forward to the opportunity. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Douglas Black. All right, we're going to go on to another question. We'll be starting this time with Ray Dolmage. A little bit shorter question. Do you feel a thriving arts and culture scene helps with economic development? So do you feel a thriving arts and culture scene helps with economic development?
I think it contributes to it. I was asked this online one day, and I guess my view is that if I was a company looking for a place to locate, I certainly would like to see is what is the arts and culture that's around there. And I think that people who will move to a town do look for activities that their children can be involved with and they can take part in, be it the theater, music. So I see it as an important element. It's not the only element, but it is a key one to a large portion of the population.
All right, thank you very much. Ray Dolmage. Do you feel a thriving arts and culture scene helps with economic development? Sean Redmond.
I do believe it does. I mean, when we start to attract people here for festivals, for plays, for jazz meetings, jazz clubs. It gets people downtown, into our bars, into our shops, into our restaurants. So a jazz culture or a arts culture is very important. We have the MUDS senior group, we have the MUDS youth group, we have a great talented musicians here, and I think Carleton Place needs to do more to embrace and encourage more arts and culture.
All right, thank you. Sean Redmond. Any of the candidates want me to repeat the question? I can. Otherwise, Louis Antonakis.
No, absolutely, and it's also in my platform, so I'm a huge supporter of arts and culture. The only comment I'd add is I think we need to do more of it. My colleague here mentioned the MUDS, our beloved Mississippi MUDS, a wonderful institution that have implemented an excellent youth program as well that he just mentioned, but I think we can do more. We also have a Department of Culture here, located at the arena. We've got the community center. I think we can spend a little bit more time further developing in that. And specifically, that relates directly to the Planet Youth of Lanark County. That is very much a part of their program. It's to include that so that we aren't reactive, as my colleague to the left had mentioned, that we are putting these programs in place for young children who are grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, and getting them in those programs before they are maybe to the point of it being not only a financial burden, but a burden to families and the difficulties that they might have with. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Louis Antonakis. Next up, Ralph Lee.
Yes, I definitely. I think we all support arts in this room. I could be wrong. However, the question is, does it lead to economic development? I believe there are flow-on effects, and I think Mr. Redmond set them out. That when people come to festivals and so forth, they will spend money in shops and the like. However, I think arts and culture is something good for our community, regardless of economic development, and it's a very positive thing. I personally am a musician, and there's a lot of artists in my family, and I think there's probably a lot of artists in this room, and we need to promote the local artists here in Carleton Place, and there are countless ways we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. And Douglas Black.
Coincidentally, I addressed this issue in my flyer, so if I could just read it quickly here. I enjoy all aspects of the arts, from musical productions to live theater, from museums to visual arts, and very much appreciate our community volunteers who have provided a great mix of all that can be offered for our youth and adults alike. Council must continue to support these great volunteers who cover the full art spectrum for everyone to enjoy. It is well established that the arts contribute not only to the quality of life for our residents, but also provide a more balanced education for our youth. We need to continue to support all aspects of the arts community to ensure it continues to thrive.
All right, thank you, Douglas. And Craig Rogers.
Obviously, yes. And I've spent hours and hours recently in this community going door to door to meet new residents of Carleton Place, and there is a massively different demographic to Carleton Place than there was 5, 10, 15 years ago. We have the opportunity to be inclusive, to bring out the many cultures in Carleton Place, to invite them to participate in cultural development. It doesn't have to be simply an art show, it's cultural development within the community. We have an absolute wealth of cultural diversity in Carleton Place in which we can grow upon in the next 4 years and thrive in this community. We should make them all welcome.
All right, thank you, Craig. Our next question now, we'll be starting with Sean Redmond on this one. If you are elected, how will you ensure that the official plan is followed for proposed development specifically regarding high density in the downtown core? So if elected, how will you ensure that the official plan is followed for proposed development specifically regarding high density in the downtown area?
Well, when we're starting to deal with the official plan, I mean, there's a lot of aspects to take a look at. High density programs, we are going to see redevelopment downtown. The biggest thing we have to look at is how does it fit into the neighborhood, not only density-wise, but structure-wise, height-wise, traffic-wise. There's a lot of things that we have to take a look at and take a look on the official plan. So it's a complicated question, and I do believe that consultation with the surrounding people, the neighbors, needs to be done. I think we have to have more open communications about where we want to go with redevelopment in Carleton Place. What vision does the people of Carleton Place have? Where do they want to go? What do they want to end up with? And I think that's a big part of my platform is redevelopment. Where do we want to go? We need to talk about it. We need to take another look at our development plan and make changes where needed so that citizens of Carleton Place can live in the neighborhoods that they desire.
All right, thank you, Sean. And Louis Antonakis.
Yeah, thank you. Those kinds of questions are, or the answers to them rather, are guided by our provincial policy statement and the Planning Act. Those are the primary documents that will govern how a municipality deals with high density. And then below that follows our official plan, and I think we need to review that in the next term of council, and of course our development permit bylaw. I think where there is concern within our municipality is areas where there is infill lots. And I am going to propose that when we are discussing property within the downtown core, areas that are culturally significant, areas that are of a concern where there's not massive tracts of land to develop to the neighbors, that we have to have a public consultation process before we're given the go-ahead to developers and before they spend all of these planning dollars to only say no to them after they follow the rules.
All right, thank you, Louis. And Ralph Lee.
The issue, as I understand the question, is that what are we going to do with respect to high density and whether we're going to follow the official plan. And many of you may know or may not know, but all development in Carleton Place must be consistent with a document called the official plan. Now, as an attorney, when I reviewed the official plan, I saw many areas that could be argued one way or the other. You could probably promote a development and say it's consistent with the official plan, and with that same development, you could say that it's inconsistent with the official town plan. So the first thing we need to do is review the official town plan and put in goals and limits to what we want to do with our downtown and in terms of its growth. But that is the starting point from a legal point of view, and I think the official town plan definitely needs to be reviewed and will be, as it must be renewed every 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. And Douglas Black.
It's been a good topic for the last 4 years for myself. In the last 4 years, we've had 12 units on Lake Avenue, 62 units on Brazil, Hawthorne Street, 120 or 60 apartments, the curling club. The message has been loud and clear from the people of Carleton Place that in these areas, they do not want this increased density. In consequence of listening over 4 years, I took a position on the curling club property that I will stand and put a stake in the ground behind our official plan. Sooner or later, we're going to have to say it's not complementary and it's not consistent with the neighborhood and take this further, because really the developers now have all the planning aspects on their side. It's a tough one to qualify, complementary and consistent, but I'm prepared to pursue this opportunity to stop this density in our older areas of Carleton Place. Thank you.
Thank you, Douglas. Craig Rogers.
Thank you. There needs to be a consistency of the application of the official plan interpretation. And what by that means, developers and residents need to know the rules of which this town implements its official plan. I follow the Allen Street development fiasco meeting after meeting, and the confusion between the developer and the residents and not knowing what interpretation the council was giving to the official plan led to acrimony. We need at the outset to have the new council establish a policy and follow that with consistency throughout their mandate. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And Ray Dolmich.
I've read the official plan and I've read the development plan, and I found that in the current versions there are some areas of vagueness, things that are not defined. So I would think that while we have to follow the plan, because that is what the law requires us to do, certainly we have to open it up, and if people did not understand that they could build certain buildings or thought they could, or that it doesn't match the area, then I think we need to go back and open it up and start over again and saying, what is it we want to be? But I think we have to realize that we also are a growing town, and we will not be the town of 5,000 that was here when I moved, but we have to plan 20 years out to make it what we want it to be now.
All right, thank you. We go on to our next question now. We'll be starting with Louis Antonakis this time around. The writer writes, we need more affordable and accessible housing, no stairs, with small pets allowed, very important for companionship and mental health in Carleton Place. Otherwise, people will be forced to move away and leave their community and friends. How can this problem be addressed? So the question being, we need more affordable and accessible housing. How can this problem be addressed?
It can be addressed in a number of ways. We have to be willing and open to accommodate developers who come to us with proposals. 2 years ago, a developer had gotten a $2 million approval from the province. $2 million. It came to our council, and we told that developer that we would not welcome the $2 million investment that directly addresses the affordable senior housing. We would not welcome his investment with any form of grant money or waiving of development fees. So I think it has to start at the council level. Are we serious about addressing the problem? So that's one thing, is to not allow opportunities to slip through us, because that developer went to Arnprior and built those 12 units. The other way in which we need to address and make affordable housing something that we can deal with is to allow, we need more housing in Carleton Place. Right now, people are paying a premium.
All right, sorry, I have to cut you off there. Again, this person saying we need more affordable and accessible housing, and how can this problem be addressed? We move on to Ralph Lee.
I am extremely sympathetic and agree that the town must play a role when it comes to affordable housing for seniors. I have been campaigning door to door, and I had some very, very good conversations with some seniors who have invited me into their house and talked to me in great detail about the concerns they have. I'll be honest, at the beginning of the campaign, I wasn't au courant of how serious the situation is. However, I do support the town playing a role in ensuring that new developments come with potentially some guidelines to ensure that our seniors are taken care of. I'm not as sympathetic to maybe younger people who have a lot of benefits already through the government, and I think affordable housing, you know, it's great 2 words, but at the end of the day, we have a lot of priorities in Carleton Place.
All right, thank you. And Douglas Black.
Thank you very much. I can say that of all the topics on the trail to date, the most heartfelt has been the affordable housing issue. It's been the #1 issue. It's a tough one. It's provincially funded. It makes its way down to the municipal level. So there is a strong role for someone like myself at county to look into this and be aware in advance of monies that can be available. I think it's imperative that we work with the Mills Support Group from Elmont. They are experts in this industry. They know how to do it. They're very successful over there, and if mayor, I will ask them to formally join in a partnership with the town of Carleton Place to look at options, because they have the expertise. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Doug? Greg Rogers.
It's time to take the gloves off. Please explain why Smith Falls has 3 times the amount of affordable housing as Carleton Place. Smith Falls has been mandated by its council to go after funding for affordable housing from the province and the county. They have succeeded. Why does Smith Falls have an arena paid for by the province? $9 million. Why is this happening that other communities are getting funding for infrastructure and affordable housing? This will stop if I'm elected.
Thank you, Craig. Ray Dolmage.
I've covered this off in my platform. I think the first thing we have to do is we have to face the fact that we have to review our bylaws. For example, the current bylaw says a house has to be 1,000 square feet. The Ontario Building Code says if you add up 450, 400 square feet. One simple change is change the size of a house in the bylaw. The other thing, too, is that there are options. You can do co-op housing. You can do what they call tiny homes. In Detroit did this, where the taxes are not based on the value, they're based on another structure. So I think we have to be really creative. I sit on a committee at CSA on the advisory group on aging societies, and we added in housing as being one of our critical issues to work on going forward. In the next 7 months was a solution. But there's a lot of things out there that we should be looking at that are in existence that we could use ourselves. And I think we have to be more innovative on that area.
Thank you, Ray. And Sean Redmond.
We need to work with builders to create more affordable housing. A building needs to make so many dollars per square foot in return. Smaller units, smaller apartments, smaller sizes of houses are very important. We've made some changes to that, some inroads. The property beside the town square, there's an apartment building going up there with smaller units, and it will be more affordable for seniors. The other thing we need to deal with here is that our loss of properties on Patty Drive and Edward Street, those have gone. That inventory is no longer there. We need to fight to get that inventory back. And also, in 40 years, we have not had any further investment in affordable housing here in Carleton Place from the county. We need to advocate, go after the county, and have them give us our dues. We have contributed to county housing for many, many years, and we have not got a rate of return. As Deputy Mayor, I will fight for that here and also at county level.
Thank you, Sean. We will start our next question with Ralph Lee, a short one. What is your overall vision for Carleton Place, and what actions will you take to get it there? So what is your overall vision for Carleton Place, and what actions will you take to get it there in 60 seconds?
Okay, well, I don't pretend to be the visionary for Carleton Place. I'm originally from Montreal. I moved here 10 years ago, and I live here with my family and absolutely love Carleton Place. The beautiful downtown core, my vision is what it is today. I love Carleton Place as it is today, and like people have talked about or have mentioned previous in this debate, that they don't want to see our town turned into a Canada, and that's the reason we don't live in Canada. We live in beautiful Carleton Place, and we want to keep it that way. So I don't have any radical vision to change Carleton Place. I'd like it to stay the same and grow slowly. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ralph. What is your overall vision for Carleton Place, and what actions will you take to get it there? Douglas Black.
Thanks very much. I'm certainly concerned about the density that we're experiencing here in Carleton Place. I worry about getting people across the town from one end to the other safely and promptly. I'm concerned very much on the lack of open space in our new development. I'm very concerned about the environmental impacts to our Mississippi River, and if anyone has followed this issue, my passion is unparalleled. I will, even if not elected, continue to work with the developer and the town of Carleton Place to ensure that water is safeguarded. Connectivity of all the neighborhoods in Carleton Place bothers me quite a bit, and how to get them working and meeting each other and crossing Highway 7 to go from a new development behind Walmart to getting a bottle of wine at the Friday night. These are all issues and vision, and it's a quality of life. I can't repeat it. It's quality of life is my goal here in vision.
Thank you, Douglas. Craig Rogers.
Or in this campaign, I'm told over and over, people moved to Carleton Place from other regions of Canada, they cannot believe how expensive the tax base is here to live. That problem needs to be addressed, and it cannot be rectified if we don't have provincial and county funding to look after the development of our infrastructure. How in the world is this town going to afford to build a bridge at $9–10 million and not pass that on to the taxpayer if we don't get funding from the province or the county? We will ruin our quality of life if we don't have effective representation at the county level.
Thank you, Craig. Again, what is your overall vision for Carleton Place, and what actions will you take to get it there? Ray Dolmich.
The vision I have, I live in the north side of town, used to live in the south side of town. I'd like to be able to walk from my house on a pathway all the way out to McNeely and beyond. I think one of the problems in our town right now is we don't have an integration or connection of all the groups. That, to me, is a vision we have to solve, because that is how we're going to establish character. I believe that we do have to look at the tax base. We need more industry, but we also need to have an idea of what we want to be, and I think that's why, to me, the official plan is a key element. We have to go back and revisit it, because the official plan defines, in my view, what we as residents think our town should be in 10, 15, 20 years.
All right. Thank you, Ray. And Sean Redmond.
I'd like to see Carleton Place prosperous, with jobs, small town atmosphere remaining, and recreational facilities. We can achieve that by continuing to improve our infrastructure, creating an economic place here where people are willing to move here, businesses are willing to invest here. We need to provide a stable tax income. We need to go after grant money and make use of as many programs that we can use. But that's what I envision, is just putting together a well-planned, a well-run town, which we have the basis there for. We just need to continue and make a vision of where we want to go and ensure that the business community here thrives and grows, and the residents can work here, live here, play here, and enjoy here.
Thank you, Sean. And Louis Antonakis.
I concur. I think Carleton Place is one of the greatest towns to live in all of Canada. My vision is where we can retire, a community where we can retire, a community where our children will want to come back and live. And how to achieve that is to be prosperous and to be competitive and to continue to attract the kind of investment that we've seen over the last 4 years. And to also maintain the beautiful amenities that exist. We've just seen the local county trail open up. These are wonderful amenities in our community, and I like to see those kinds of things to be improved and expanded, not only for the seniors, but for our young kids that are coming up through the system. They need these kinds of places. This is what makes people want to stay in your town and return to your community when they're... My time's up.
Thank you. Louis Antonakis. Next question. Do you feel that Carleton Place Council should pass a resolution to opt out of retail marijuana sales in our community? Why or why not? Do you feel that Carleton Place Council should pass a resolution to opt out of retail marijuana sales in our community? Why or why not? And we'll be starting with Douglas Black this time around.
Thanks a lot. I think we all expected this question this evening, and like most of you, I've been reading all the paper. Ottawa Citizen particularly has done quite a bit on this topic. I was quite comfortable and content with the original Liberal where it was going to be in the LCBO, and now we've opened and closed that option. We're now looking at the retail. I was recently in Skagway, a town of 15,000 people. I went and talked to the youth down there, and they have one store for support of 15,000 people. Is there going to be a proliferation of our stores? I don't think so. As far as the marijuana on the main street, I would prefer it not. I think it should be distinct from anywhere youth are involved. And I probably could talk for a lot longer than what I've been given on this topic.
Thank you, Douglas. Craig Rogers.
It's a very complicated issue. It's a developing issue. We have the resources. We have the need for consultation with people that know what they're talking about in this issue. The police are well versed. We should establish immediately a recommendation committee to council from stakeholders that actually participate in this potential industry and how it should be regulated. The province doesn't know how to regulate it right now. We need to seek out guidance from the appropriate resources in the community which we have available. To say to a councillor, what do you think? We don't have the evidence to make an appropriate decision. We need guidance. We also need to have the issue become one of which does not draw us into litigation with potential commercial distributors.
All right, thank you. And then again the question, do you feel that Carleton Place Council should pass a resolution to opt out of retail marijuana sales in the community? Why or why not? Ray Dolmage.
I don't think we should. I had great uncles in Prince Edward County who made a pile of money selling liquor to the U.S. during Prohibition. So I know what happens. If you opt out, someone will be next door to you. So let's get real. I think we do have to have, we should opt in, and we should also have rules as to how that shall be set up in our town. And we need consultation. But to say we opt out, I think we're running against a tide that's already past us.
Thank you, Ray. And Sean Redmond.
To opt out, no. To rush in, no. We need to know the who, what, when, wheres, and whys. We may make smart decisions. Marijuana is here in our community. It's here. There's nothing we can do about it. Our biggest concern with legalizing or bringing marijuana into our community is our youth. By bringing it in here and opening the discussion up about marijuana, perhaps we can educate the youth on the use of it, the dangers of it, the effect of the human brain on a young person. So I believe we need to embrace it and use it as an educational tool. I don't believe you'll see a huge rush of adults using it or youth. But we need to be open, we need to educate, we need to bring our youth in. And as we deal with Planet Youth, that's what the whole thing is about, is in bringing the youth into our community, into our decisions, into our discussions, and be part of the solution.
Thank you, Sean. Louis Antonakis.
It's an unequivocal no. Cannabis is already in our community, and it will continue to be available whether we opt in or opt out. So I am a pro-in. My position has changed over the last couple of years, though, so I am relatively new to opting in. Residents who require cannabis for medicinal purposes deserve clean, safe, and easy to access medicine. So that's my primary concern. I think they should be able to get it in their own community. One of the concerns I've got as a father of three is it's not so much are children going to try it, and I don't advocate for it, but there's a lot of risk associated with cannabis that's being sold on the street. We're seeing a lot of fentanyl, we're seeing a lot of product being inserted into the cannabis, and that is a huge concern of mine. So if it's going to happen, let's at least do it in a safe way that's regulated. And
thank you. Thank you, Louis. And Ralph Lee.
I don't think we should opt out. There's no doubt that this is. There's no doubt that cannabis is here. I smell it when I walk around, and that is going to become a reality. The question is, what are we going to do in terms of having a store, and should it be, where should the store be, and so forth. I think, I'm not opposed to having a marijuana store further up Bridge Street. I think we would do a very good job of buying in and creating a good place that would have flow-on effects to the rest of our community and raise a lot of capital to do a lot of things that we need to do, that we heard the 13 council candidates talking about. We have a lot of issues and we need money. And if we do this the right way, we all talked about looking at Smiths Falls and Tweed. Well, I'm sure Carleton Place would not place a second to Smiths Falls. I'm proud of Carleton Place. We may not have Tweed. We have a great community. And I'll have to stop talking.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Ralph. Final question before we go to closing remarks. Do you believe that the downtown core needs revitalization? And if so, what would you do to realize this goal? So do you believe the downtown core needs revitalization? And if so, what would you do to realize this goal? And we'll start with Craig Rogers.
Thank you. Can you repeat the question?
Do you believe that the downtown core needs revitalization? And if so, what would you do to realize this goal?
Okay. Recently, I've been out meeting numerous new people to Carleton Place. And this group tonight would be astounded at how many military families are relocating here. And it's an absolutely amazing, positive contribution to this community. We have the benefit to develop a downtown core that would be respectful to the military, for the military to relocate here. It's an identity that this community could build upon. I think that we have an absolute wonderful opportunity to revitalize a downtown core by having a community recognize the contribution that the military is making to this town. And by that I mean we acknowledge that we have a large growing military community in Carleton Place, which is of great value to our economy and the downtown core.
Thank you, Craig. Ray Dolmage.
Well, the downtown core is a good question. I define the downtown core as going as far as the opposite side by McPherson's Garage I count that as part of downtown. So I think one of the things we do is we revitalize the downtown, but we also expand that core area because it's odd that there's very few businesses on the north side of the river, and to walk to them is a bit of a problem. So I think that's one area. I think we have to look at the other end of the street, the intersection at Lake and Lansdowne and Bridge just sometimes drives me nuts with the traffic flow. We have to improve that. So there's things that we can do as a town to make that consistent, and I think that's one of the issues that we have to look at. It has to look right and it has to be attractive all the way through.
All right, thank you, Ray. Sean Redmond.
We need to continue the building enhancements. We need to continue our funding and our grant money to improve the facades. We need to take a look at the downtown core and expand it, not only in length, but also in width as well. We need to create a larger downtown core. We need to make a better use of the river. We have tens of thousands of people upstream. We need to get them into Carleton Place. We need to have more community events, more festivals, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of things we have to do. We have to find a way to bring more dollars downtown. We have to bring the people who live on the outskirts of Carleton Place, that drive into Ottawa to work, drive back home, go back to work. We have to find a way of getting them downtown to make our business owners more prosperous. It could be something silly like buy a $30,000 old car and having a draw on it. If you come down and spend money, you get something, put something in. It's going to bring more people downtown, more prosperous buildings.
Thank you, Sean Redmond. Louis Antonakis.
I love what the downtown core has become. One of the biggest decisions that the next council is going to be faced with is, it's been 40 years since we've invested in the downtown core. In other words, sidewalks, roads, that kind of infrastructure. And I believe that when the bridge is going to be replaced in around 2020, 221, 222, I think a discussion is going to need to happen. Are we going to invest in new sidewalks and roads in the core? It's been 40 years. It was the early 80s that they did it. And it will be time. So I think the discussion of the day is going to be, do we do it all at one shot? Or do we do just the bridge, cause all kinds of traffic problems, and you know, it's going to be difficult for the businesses. Do we do the road at the same time? And I'm thinking that it's likely going to be the case. We do it all at one shot, one summer, and it's done. And this way we also deal with accessibility and getting people with barrier issues into these stores, building them up and getting them into the stores.
All right, thank you, Louis. Ralph Lee.
I think there's a number of things we can do, and an idea that I won't claim to be my own, but a fellow supporter talked about a walk of fame where we would have plaques on different buildings celebrating our rich history and heritage in Carleton Place. Plaques, maybe areas on sidewalks where people would be able to walk and look up at Roy Brown, and something that would bring people into town. Obviously, we need more people to come into town, but I think there's a lot of ideas we can do without spending a lot of money in order to promote our downtown. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ralph. And Douglas Black.
Earlier this evening, I made reference to quality of life and the importance to me, and the revitalization of the main street is an example of what I'm trying to move forward with. I like to feel I was in the forefront of this issue should I run for mayor, in which I am. As many of you know, we're in competition with Kempville's and Perth and Smith Falls and Arnprior 1.2 million, Renfrew 1.2 million in revitalization. People look to the main street when they make their residential decisions to move here. To that end, I was going to be a very strong platform for me, and then the bridge came along. And the reality of the bridge is that it's not forecasted in our 10-year capital fund. It has to look at it. So I think we need to look at, and it's going to be one of the first issues out of the gate for the new council in January. I've already spoke to the CAO, and to do the implementation of a revitalization with the bridge makes sense. Get it done in one go. I'm going to qualify the.
All right.
I need to hear the qualification.
Thank you, Douglas Black. However, we are going to do closing remarks, so you can maybe finish that if you wish. And we're going to start with Douglas Black. 1 minute, gentlemen, each.
Oh, they shut your mic right off. 38 years ago, I participated in my first all-candidate.
Thank you.
38 years ago, I participated in my first all-candidates night in the Town Hall auditorium. During my 4 terms as a councillor, I have clearly established my credibility as putting our community first. I have no business interests, no business partnerships, and no developer alliances. As your new mayor, I will continue to strive to enhance the quality of our lives in all areas. My entire business career has been establishing this strategy and developing a team to execute. I will reach out to council members, council committees, our service clubs, our volunteer organization, and I will most definitely re-engage with our hospital board. I would be proud to serve the residents of Carleton Place as your new mayor. This term has been challenging, to say the least. A change is needed, and to make this change, I need your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Douglas. Ralph Lee.
Thank you. Carleton. Try this one. I'm being sabotaged up here, okay? It's a political hit. I know. Well, I got Doug Black on my side. You know, after October 22nd, we're all still going to be here. We're all going to be friends. Doug Black and Louis Antonakis, they have contributed enormously to this town. And I want to thank everybody who has picked. Thank you. That's right. The people up here have done great work for Carleton Place, and I've lost some of my time because of that. But I want to know that we will move forward together, positively, with an air of respect, a culture and an environment where everyone's ideas are listened to. No more scandals, no more corruption. Like Mr. Black, I have no connections to the development community. It's a self-finance campaign. And if residents of Carleton Place want real change on October 22nd, I'll be honored for you to vote for me.
Thank you, Ralph. Louis Antonakis.
You gotta be kidding me. We're on? Okay. We can expect our local healthcare infrastructure to be upgraded with the building of a new emergency room beginning in 2020. We have secured $8.75 million in provincial funding, and we must focus on raising the required community share. The Central Bridge replacement is a key health and safety focus of our community as well. The reconstruction cost is going to be approximately $7 million. As a key priority, I will guide our municipality through the provincial grant programs and ensure the needed funding. My focus over the next 4 years will continue to be around strong and central and sensible management that leads to improved amenities such as our community center, arena upgrades, parks and trails, including the trail that runs through the heart of our community, long-term care facilities, improving our downtown streetscape, canoe club, beaches and tennis courts, hotel accommodations, arts and cultural programming. We have made so much progress together. I sincerely hope I can count on your vote on October the 22nd.
Thank you, Louis. Sean Redmond.
As Deputy Mayor, my council experience, knowledge, and understanding of the issues, needs, and the direction our town is heading will be invaluable. Not only as Deputy Mayor will I be representing Carleton Place locally, but on County Council as well. There will not be a long learning curve required. I am up to speed. I will be able to advocate for our needs from day one. We need to get the housing stock on Edward and Patty Street that was taken out of service replaced. Carleton Place has close to doubled in size since the last community investment in our last county investment in our community. We need to increase the housing stock. We need to go. I know how to get there and where we have to go. I have shown openness, integrity, dedication, solid decision-making, leadership skills, fiscally responsible. I am a ready-to-go deputy mayor, up to speed, up on the issues, up on the direction. I have spoke up and will speak up. I will be an effective deputy mayor.
Thank you, Sean. Ray Dolmage.
I think in my 30-plus career, I learned in standards and codes that consensus is a real important need. And so I like this idea that if you don't like something, you should say why you don't like it, and you should be able to say how you would fix it. And I found in doing that, that often people realize that maybe the proposal from the other party isn't necessarily the wrong one. And I've worked with people around the world in China, Romania, Russia. All people have the same behavior patterns and needs. So I think I bring to that whole experience of 30 years of working in that field and driving for solutions. My record shows that I am very good at getting people to come together, and I believe strongly in clear and transparent communication, and a high level of integrity is important. Thank you.
And Craig Rogers.
We will have huge challenges in the next 4 years. A third of our property taxes go to Lanark County programs. You will need real experience to negotiate a fair share of funding like I am doing tomorrow. We cannot pay for the replacement of Central Bridge with our property taxes alone, nor can we pay for the sewage treatment program upgrades with our property taxes alone. No matter who you elect as mayor, I can work with your choice. I am committed to working with them in a positive, forward-looking manner. I am not aligned with any mayoral candidate. Carleton Place requires the best of the best to operate this town. I know how government works. I know how to get funding for this town. My family have lived here for 60 years. No matter who leads this town, I assure you, by supporting me, Carleton Place will continue to be an outstanding place to live, invest, and raise your family. You have every right to expect no less. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Well, that completes our formal presentation. We want to thank everybody. A couple of, just if you could, a couple of closing comments. Don't forget that the internet and telephone voting begins on Monday, October 15th, so make sure that you vote. Again, another nice hand for all of our candidates for Deputy Mayor and Mayor of Carleton Place. Here's Jamie Law again.
And on behalf of the Carleton Place and District Chamber of Commerce, we want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. It was a great crowd. Thank you everyone for participating. Also, we'd like to thank SHMD for the sound system and live streaming the event for us. Also, a big hand for Brian. Thank you so much, Brian. And thank you to all the candidates. And once again, thank you to all the people that came out. Enjoy your evening. Thank you, everyone.